Well, hello and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me for, I guess, an impromptu bonus episode of The Goldie Show because normally I go live Monday to Fridays at noon Eastern. But today is a very special day. Today is the birthday of a very important person, a person that is incredibly beloved by the Iranian people and a person who was really, really done dirty by the Islamists and the communists back in the 60s and 70s. And the person that I'm speaking of is, of course, none other than His Imperial Highness Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, or as I like to call him, Shahanshah Aryamir. That's what a lot of Iranians call him. So today is his birthday. And his birthday also coincides with the birthday of another equally important Iranian figure in our history. And that, of course, is Cyrus the Great. Cyrus the Great, let me pull him up here. So, Cyrus the Great is the founder of the Persian Empire. You might have heard about him, probably have. He's literally known as the King of Kings, and he's one of the greatest kings of all time for many reasons. And I'll get into that a little bit. But 2 days from now is the birthday of Cyrus the Great, and I actually had the honor of attending a Cyrus the Great event Friday evening, and the current Shah in exile, Reza Pahlavi II, who is the son of the late Shah of Iran, he was present, and so I had the honor of attending that event while he was there as well. And to honor Cyrus the Great. And why is Cyrus the Great such an important part of Iranian identity and culture? Well, it's because he founded the Persian Empire 2,500 years ago. He united so many people, but more than that, he was not a ruler. He was a leader, if that makes any sense. He wasn't a barbarian. He did not enslave people. Yes, there was conquering, 100% there was conquering. Most of it was conquering other empires and civilizations that had taken people hostage, and then he would liberate them. A perfect example of that is when Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon, right? He conquered Babylon, basically claimed it as part of the Persian Empire. However, he freed all of the people that had been enslaved by the Babylonians at the time, and he let them live their lives. A really well known and famous example that the Islamists hate for us to bring up is the Jewish people. Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, when he conquered Babylon, he freed the Jewish people from their Babylonian captivity and he took them back to the promised land, which is Israel. Again, this is not a religious thing, right? This is literally historical fact, right? This isn't like the Islamists who claim Muhammad flew a donkey to Al-Aqsa overnight or something, right? Like this is historical fact that Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon, freed the Jews from their Babylonian enslavement. He took them back to the promised land of Israel, and he helped them to rebuild the second wall, the second temple of Jerusalem, right? And the Wailing Wall that's there, that is a testament to the legacy of Cyrus the Great. That wall there was built with money funded by the Persian Empire, right? And Cyrus the Great did that not because he had to, but because he wanted to, because he espoused those qualities, right? And in fact, the Cyrus cylinder is the known um, first known instance of human rights. So that's one of the reasons why Cyrus the Great is incredibly important and influential and a very important figure to us. And even though today's live stream should not be spicy, it should not be confrontational, it should not be controversial. But it is, and I'll tell you why. The controversy doesn't come from me as an Iranian. The controversy comes from the Islamists who, for 1400 years, since the Arab Muslim conquest of Persia, have tried to erase our Iranian identity, right? And they don't like the fact that we never assimilated. They don't like the fact that we preserved our Iranian language, right? We speak Persian. Um, After the Arab Muslim conquest of Persia, um, our language, Persian, was actually banned for 2 centuries. We were not allowed to speak our own language. That was a common tactic that the Arab Muslim colonizers did. Right? They would go go to a group of people, oppress them, and force them to forget their tongue, their language, and just speak Arabic. And that's why you see, the vast majority of the Middle East, right, is predominantly Arabic. And there are a lot of various cultures and peoples who have lost the link to their original indigenous language. So they tried to do that with Iranians, but we were able to revive our language after 2 centuries because we had, some great poets. Ferdowsi was one of them. Ferdowsi is basically the Iranian equivalent of Shakespeare, right? And he, in the literary world, he is just as famous as Shakespeare. So, any literary historian, buff person out there will know Ferdowsi. So the reason that what I'm going to share with you and talk to you about is controversial is because this is this is a constant reminder to the Islamists that they were not able to erase our Iranian identity, right? The fact that we, um, the fact that the Shah of Iran at the time in 1971 he celebrated the 2500 year anniversary of the Persian Empire, right? So it was an unbroken line of kings and emperors, starting from Cyrus the Great and going all the way to Shahanshah Aryamir, the previous Shah of Iran, and it still continues to this day with his son, the Shah in exile, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi II, because, and I spoke about this before, but I forgot to bring this up. He actually swore the oath of monarchy. Basically, he swore the succession oath after his father passed away. Let me bring it up. So this is like a very a forgotten piece of history that a lot of people either don't know about or they've forgotten. And of course, the Islamists try to ignore this and they try to gaslight us and pretend like this did not happen. But got to remove this and I'm going to add this. So here you go. So the monarchy line is actually unbroken, right? So here you can see in 1980, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, the son of the previous Shah, he took his oath as Roi du Jour in Cairo. And that was October 31st, 1980. Wow, guys, a lot of things seem to happen in October here. But there you go. So we still do have an unbroken line of monarchs dating back over 2,500 years to the time of Cyrus the Great. And so, one of the things you're going to commonly hear about from the Islamists is, the Shah was corrupt. He would throw expensive parties in the desert and blah blah blah. What the Islamists are referring to, right? Because they never go into facts. They never talk about what they're actually referring to because they don't want you to go and dig in and see what was actually happening. They just throw buzzwords at you, right? Because it's like the lowest common denominator, right? It's like just low IQ buzzwords they can just throw around, right? Party in the desert, party in the desert. He was corrupt, right? And why, it's very similar to the tactics with the like the pro-Hamas people, they just like, yell genocide, genocide, when we all know there's actually no genocide whatsoever, right? And like the civilian ratio is incredibly low, but it's the same tactic, right? They just have a few buzzwords and they just throw it out there and they just repeat it over and over because they don't have any logical reasoning or argument or anything to go behind it. So I'm going to explain to you exactly what this party in the desert was and why it was so critical and why I myself personally, as one Iranian, a single Iranian, I am so grateful that the Shah of Iran at the time celebrated the 2500-year anniversary of the Persian Empire. I was not alive at the time, right? Like I was born in 1985. But the fact that he did that, he basically created a piece of history of our shared, our identity as Iranians, which goes back 2,500 years, over 2,500 years. By doing what he did, he added to that history. He added to our heritage, right? And again, even a few days ago, we Iranians, we celebrated Cyrus the Great Day. We hold our own events and we honor Cyrus the Great. In Iran right now, on Cyrus the Great Day, Iranians flock to the tomb of Cyrus the Great. And they yell for the king to return. I'll see if I can find something. There's so many of them. I'll find one video here. Cyrus to Iran. All right. Here we go. This is, I posted this one myself. Look at that. Okay. See, guys, everything I talk about, I always come with receipts. So here are Iranians. So I posted this on April 2nd. Okay. So I posted this on April 2nd. This was for the Persian New Year celebrations. And here you can see, even just a few months ago, right? A few months ago, Iranians, they went to the tomb of Cyrus the Great in Persepolis. You can see them here, and they're celebrating, right? And they're saying like "Long live the king" and everything. So this is just like 4 or 5 months ago in April. Now, keep in mind, this is not something that's planned by the government, right? And I use the word government very loosely because, of course, Iran is currently occupied by a brutal Islamic dictatorship. This is not something that is organized by the government, by the Islamic regime. The Islamic regime doesn't put any sort of money or funding into anything like this because they are incredibly anti-Iranian and they view the Iranian identity as a threat, right? And I've shown the video before of Khomeini, the demonic evil Ayatollah, who was the founder of the Islamic Republic, when he said that Islam does not want patriots. He said that Islam wants Muslims, and he said that patriots are the enemy of Islam, right? Let me bring that video up for you again, just as a refresher, because I know there's a lot of information here, guys, but I have it all for you. Here we go. I mean, oh gosh, I hate showing this man's evil demonic face, but it has to be done because this, here when he's talking about how patriotism is the enemy of Islam, he's referring directly to, because this is right when he came to Iran and they overthrew the government and they took Iran hostage. So this is right when they've come in, and he says it plainly right away that patriotism is the enemy of Islam and he only wants Muslims. So he doesn't care which country you're from or anything like that. he just wants Muslims. Like they just want to colonize, they want to erase our indigenous identity, right? It's been the same playbook with Islamic colonization for 1400 years. And 1979 is just one of the recent examples of that. So just watch this. Watch what this evil man says. So here, when he says, when he says that very, very rude phrase, he's referring to the Shah. He's referring to the Shah that had just been deposed, right? Listen to this part. This part is insane because the Shah, he was a Muslim. The Shah was a Muslim too, but he wasn't an Islamist, right? He was a regular, normal Muslim. And, the country was a secular country that was moving towards a democracy. But that wasn't good enough for the Islamists, right? Like being a normal Muslim is not good enough for Islamic terrorists. So listen to this. Did you see that? So he's criticizing the Shah of Iran for saying that he's Iranian first and then he's a Muslim. He's saying that that's not Islam, right? So he's like if you put anything above Islam and Sharia law, you're not a real Muslim. Okay? So compare that with what you're seeing today with all of these Islamists who are coming to your countries, right? They're oh, there's no audio, no sound in the other video. Okay. Hopefully we can get that fixed. But I mean it's the audio and it's the captions here, right? But listen to this. Like this guy, like this is the same mantra you're hearing from the Islamists who are coming to your country, right? And then they're burning your flags and they're saying we want Sharia law. Why? Because they all think the same, right? They all think the same. It's always Islam first and then, whatever else. Or actually Islam first and nothing else, right? So this is how Islamic colonization happens, right? They want to erase your identity and they just want an Islam, like a global Islamic caliphate. So that's why the Islamists are incredibly triggered by the Shah, the previous Shah, and the current Shah as well. It's also why the Islamic Republic has been constantly trying to erase our Iranian identity and heritage because they don't like the fact that we as Iranians have existed for thousands of years before their religion was invented, right? Like before their religion came out, whatever you want, founded, whatever, right? Before Muhammad did what he did. Like we've been around for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Like our food is older, our language is older. Like we were eating with spoons, guys. We were eating with spoons thousands of years before Islam was invented, right? Like and they don't like that. So they've been trying to erase our Iranian identity and heritage. And that's why this evil man says, patriots are useless to us. Uh, we need Muslims and Islam is opposed to patriotism. So that video that I showed you was a direct response to the Shah's 2,500-year celebration of the Empire of Iran, because of course there is nothing Islamic about the Empire of Iran. The Empire of Iran existed for thousands of years before Islam was invented. So I'm gonna play you the video, right? Because one of the things the Islamists say, and they also use this as well. So let me explain to you a little bit about the celebration of the Persian Empire itself. And I have it on Wikipedia here. So let me pull this up for you guys. And then we can view it together. And that way I can make sure if there's something off about Wikipedia, I can call it out. So here's the logo for the 2,500-year celebration. So there you can see at the top, that's the royal crest. That's the Pahlavi crown. And then this is the Cyrus cylinder, right? So the Cyrus cylinder here is basically what documented the first human race. So the 2500-year celebration of the Persian Empire, officially known as the 2500-year celebration of the Empire of Iran, and in Persian, and guys, if you don't think I can speak Farsi, I can, because here you go. So in Persian, it's جشن‌های 2500 ساله شاهنشاهی ایران, was hosted by the Pahlavi dynasty in the imperial state of Iran in October of 1971. Concentrated at Persepolis, right? Persepolis is the ancient capital of the Persian Empire. So it consisted of an elaborate set of grand festivities that sought to honor the legacy of the Achaemenid Empire, which was founded by Cyrus the Great in 550 BC. The event was aimed at highlighting Iranian history and also showcasing the country's contemporary advances under Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who had been reigning as the Shah of Iran since 1941. And of course, there is Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the previous Shah of Iran. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, dear Shahanshah. We love you so, so much. And it's an honor for me to be able to just speak about you today and to share the amazing things that you did, right? Because in 1971, guys, I was born in 1985. In 1971, over 50 years ago, this man here, this incredible man, the Shah of Iran, was so intelligent and he had so much foresight to recognize how important and historic it would be to celebrate the 2500-year anniversary of the Persian Empire, not just for the people who were there at the time, but for future generations, so that we, us future Iranians, could also take part by watching, right? And so that we could have some pride in our Iranian identity. The site brought 60 members of royalty and heads of state from abroad. I mean, that's a really huge number, guys, right? Like, you don't really see those numbers unless it's like, the president of the United States. Like, President Trump could pull those kinds of numbers to an event. But imagine the Shah of Iran at the time, 60 members of royalty and heads of state came to Iran to honor Cyrus the Great and to commemorate the legacy of the Persian Empire. So this is where the Islamist narrative comes in, right? So some historians take the view that its role in massive display of seemingly unlimited royal wealth contributed to the Iranian population's growing frustration with the Pahlavi dynasty. While others, this is the correct position, while others argue that the extravagance of the proceedings was exaggerated during the Islamic Revolution to discredit the Shah's regime. That is exactly what happened. They exaggerated, right, everything that was going on, and they also just limited it, right? Like they put out this narrative that the Shah had a private party in the desert. Because again, we're talking about the late 70s here. People in Iran didn't have access to information like we do today, right? So they weren't able to go verify and fact check it. And to the people in the comments saying the biggest and most expensive party ever, good. I'm glad. And I just wish he had spent even more. I wish he had spent double the amount and I would still be happy. You know why? Because he was honoring 2,500 years of Iranian identity and heritage, and you cannot put a number on that. The only people who are upset about that are the Islamists. And so, during the years leading up to the 1979 Islamic Revolution, the Islamists, again, we're talking about these evil people, right? We're talking about this evil man, right? He was complaining about celebrating 2,500 years of the Persian Empire, right? Because again, they have an agenda. The Islamists have an agenda. Islam is opposed to patriotism, right? They didn't like the fact that Iranians were celebrating their identity. And so these clerics and mullahs would go around lying to people. And back then, people were gullible. They were much more gullible than they are today. At that point, there was still an element of trust for the Islamic mullahs, right? So when you have like an Islamic cleric demon man who goes around and says that the Shah spent millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, no one's going to doubt him because they would assume that he is a learned man of God and he's going to speak the truth and all that like nonsense, right? That they impose on religious figures. Meanwhile, he's like the most corrupted, evil bee ever, and they all lied, right? It's the same as how they lied with Cinema Rex. So the Islamists will say that the Shah was brutal and murdered people. No, it was the Islamists. They actually locked people in a movie theater called Cinema Rex. They locked them in there. They burned everyone to death, and then they blamed it on the Shah. And they said the Shah did this. And that actually is what then led to people going into the streets because they thought that the Shah was murdering people. It was, in fact, the Islamists themselves. You know how like Hamas murders uses like women and children as human shields and martyrs for the cause of jihad. It's the same playbook. They were doing the same thing in Iran. They were murdering people, right, and then claiming it was the Shah. Meanwhile, it was them, and they felt justified doing it because Islam or whatever. So all these lies kept on growing and growing. And at the time, people were not able to fact check. They didn't have internet. They didn't have phones. They didn't have, TV the way that we do, right? So they basically listened to the clerics and then they thought, right? Because the clerics were coming up with this lie in 1979. They were speaking about something that happened 8 years ago. How are people supposed to fact check that? Again, this was not a time when people had technology. And that's one of the reasons why the Islamic Republic is incredibly weak today and is becoming weaker and weaker. It's also one of the reasons why we Iranians, we're just done with the Islamic Republic. In fact, we're done with like Islam in general. That's a debate for a whole other time. But the reason we're done with them is because every single lie that comes out of their mouth, we're now able to fact check. So this party in the desert, it wasn't just, a random party that he was having and he brought his friends over. He was literally commemorating 2,500 years of Persian civilization. That is massive. That is huge. Most countries in the world are not even 1,000 years old, let alone 500, right? Like, could you imagine, like, and all countries do this. Like, it's a big deal to celebrate like 100 years, 125 years, 150 years, right? Like, think of like the Jubilee or all those things, right? I mean, think of like the 4th of July. Now imagine if the Islamists come and they complain about the government spending money on 4th of July. That's basically what was happening here. That's basically what was happening, right? So this was a party to commemorate 2,500 years of Persian civilization. You cannot put a price tag on that. But the Islamists complained, and they used it as fodder to overthrow the Shah. And then they brought in Islam, and they've been the most anti-Iranian thing ever. And they said patriotism is the enemy of Islam. So this party is the enemy of Islam because this party is also a slap in the face to the Islamists who were never able to fully colonize Persia. We were able to keep our Iranian identity. We were able to keep our Iranian heritage, and the Persian Empire was still there. So let me show you this. So this is the tomb of Cyrus the Great. So this is where the party was held. It was held in Persepolis. So again, the Shah did not rule through torture and fear under Savak. Savak is amazing. We love Savak. The only people who don't like Savak are communists and Islamists. And in fact, Khamenei was a prisoner in Savak. If Savak was so evil, how did Khamenei survive? If Savak was so evil, how did Khomeini survive? Why were these people just exiled instead of executed, right? So your logic doesn't stand. We Iranians, we love Savak. We want Savak to come back. I can guarantee you that when the Islamic Republic is overthrown, like literally everyone's going to be applying for a job at Savak. Like I will volunteer for Savak for free. I love Starbucks. But anyway, going back to the topic. So when they say the Shah threw a party in the desert, well, it wasn't a random thing. It's because the celebration was held in front of the tomb of Cyrus the Great, right? Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire. So in order to honor Cyrus the Great, the Shah held the celebration, the 2500-year celebration of the Persian Empire at the site of the capital of the Persian Empire, which was Persepolis, which currently is in the desert, right? So here are some photos. Let me show you some photos here. This is actually nice. So here, so these are the ruins of Persepolis. So there's the ruins of Persepolis, and there's the Shah and all the dignitaries, right? Now I have the video of this, so we're gonna watch this too, but this is just a little primer, right? So when the Islamists say, oh, party in the desert, it was literally a parade in front of the tomb of Cyrus the Great to honor the founder of the Persian Empire, right? It's like complaining about holding it's like complaining about celebrating the birthday of Abraham Lincoln in front of the Lincoln Memorial, right? It's just this insane jihadi narrative that they have. Okay, how do I go back here? Okay. And then here's some of the costumes, right? So again, like these are the outfits that ancient Persian soldiers would wear. So, when they talk about, oh, this was an extravagant party, the Shah was literally spending money on, Iranian culture and heritage. I'm, for one, and that's where I want my money to go. You know where I don't want my money to go? I don't want my money going to funding Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. That's what the Islamic Republic is doing. So this is bad, right? This, according to them, is bad. Spending money on historically accurate outfits and costumes, right, to bring to life the Persian Empire, that's a no-no for the Islamists. But sending money to Hamas and Hezbollah to fund terrorism and murder Jews, that's okay, right? I mean, again, this is the thinking of the Islamists. They hate everything and everyone. So to me, that is money well spent, 100%. Money well spent. This was the 10th city. So this is actually super, super cool. So they actually, they set up a series of tents, right? Because the celebration was held in the desert, right? You can see, like, there's the ruins of Persepolis, and then, there's a road that they built, and then there's the tents, and that's where the dignitaries were staying, which makes sense. I mean, you're literally inviting the heads of state and royalty. You're inviting 60 royalty members and heads of state from around the world to honor Cyrus the Great. I mean, you have to have some sort of, first of all, security measures in place, right? And then, you have to be a good host. Well, you're just going to bring them and just have them languish in the desert, right? Like, it's insane. And look how like beautifully this was done. It's so classy, and it's not at all like over the top, but it's still very very high class. You know what I mean? Very, very high class. All right. So here's the tents that they had. Look at that. And then this guy, like, wearing traditional dress, right? And that's the other thing. No one ever talks about like all the jobs that were created, right? So, if the Shah was spending millions of dollars to hire Iranians to help with the festivities, good. That's how money should be spent, right? And then of course here's Shahanshah Aryameh and the Queen. So Shahbanufara Pahlavi, she is still alive, by the way. She just turned 87. We love her. Why are these people? Oh my gosh. Well, guys, I told you people, like, I told you the Islamists would get triggered, right? Like, I'm literally sharing facts about Iranian history, and then all these non-Iranians are in here and they're like all triggered. I don't know why. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. Oh my gosh. Like, that is just such a beautiful thing, right? Like that, looking at this makes me proud to be Iranian, right? This is my heritage. This is my Iranian identity and history and culture. And I love seeing this. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And, prior to the Islamic Republic taking over and turning our country into a 7th century Islamic hellhole, we were such amazing hosts. People from around the world would come visit Iran and travel to Iran. Okay, so there's some more. All right, let's go back here. So the planning for the party took a year. And then there was the tent city that I spoke about. Festivities. So the festivities were opened on October 12, 1971, when the Shah and the Shahbanu paid homage to Cyrus the Great at his mausoleum in Pasargadae, or Persepolis. For the next 2 days, the Shah and his wife greeted arriving guests, often directly at Shiraz's airport. On 14 October, a grand gala dinner took place in the banqueting hall in celebration of the birthday of the Shahbanu, because her birthday was in October as well. 60 members of royal families and heads of state were assembled at the single large serpentine table in the banqueting hall. They dined off a special dinner service of 10,000 plates, commissioned from the English china manufacturer Spode, each plate decorated in turquoise and gold with the Shah's coat of arms. I love that. I love that. 600 guests dined over 5.5 hours, thus making for the longest and most lavish official banquet in modern history. I absolutely love that. I love that we are known for our hospitality as Iranians. It's definitely much better than being known for blowing people up as Islamists, right? So there's big difference between Iranians and Islamists there. All right. So, okay, this is the interesting part. So this is where like the Islamist jihadi taqiyya nonsense comes into play. So the Ministry of the Court placed the cost at 17 million US dollars at the time. Someone else puts it about 22 million. Okay. So the actual figure is difficult to calculate exactly and is a partisan issue. So this is where it comes in, right? So the Islamists claim that the celebrations cost about 120 million US dollars. However, this claim has been described as having no real basis. There you go. So again, it's just all lies, right? So even with the exorbitant amounts that they're saying, they can't prove it. But you know what? Even if the Shah spent 120 million US dollars to celebrate the 2500 year anniversary of Cyrus the Great, good. I'm glad. He should have spent more. In fact, I think it's a shame that he did not celebrate Cyrus the Great Day every year. And I have a feeling that when Iran is free, it's going to be an annual thing. It's going to be an annual thing, right? I mean, there are so many important parts of our element and heritage and history that we are so proud of. Why shouldn't we celebrate? I mean, Germans have Oktoberfest. Why can't we have Cyrus the Great, right? Why, like, so many countries proudly celebrate their cultural heritage, right? And yet, for some reason, when we Iranians celebrate it in the past, you have the Islamists who come and attack us. And why do they attack us? Because again, it's part of the whole Islamic colonization agenda, right? They want to actively erase our identity and history. So let's now start watching this video. I'm so excited for this, guys. It's also on my YouTube channel, but here we go. And, again, I just want to thank the late Shah of Iran, Shahanshah Aryamer, for doing this, for having the foresight to not only do this, but to also give people the opportunity to document it so that future generations of Iranians could watch this and feel proud, especially given the fact that now our country is occupied by Islamic terrorists who have been trying to erase our Iranian identity. This video is a link not only to our Iranian identity and heritage, but it's a link to what Iran was like before Islam came in. It's a link to what Iran was like when we were a normal secular country. And it also gives us hope. It gives us hope. It lets us know that we can go back to that and we will go back to that because Islamic dictatorship is very weak and it will be overthrown soon. And as soon as Iran is free, we can go back to proudly celebrating our Iranian identity and heritage. All right, guys, here we go. And I found like this version where it's like narrated by a British dude. So it's funny. Some of the things he says are pretty funny.
Persia, a land of barren mountain. Persia, a land of barren mountain and burning desert, a harsh land in which the climate is sparing in its bounties. An ancient land, which is the meeting point between East and West, between Russia and India, between Arabia and the Caspian Sea. Iranians call it Iran. Their soft and musical language, Persian. On the rim of the country's dead heart, the old enemy, sand.
This part is actually, the first time I heard this part, I didn't realize that my enemy is sand, but there you go, guys. So for Iranians, all the Iranians watching, apparently our enemy is sand. I just thought that was kind of funny.
Sand, sand. There flowered, under its powder blue skies, a wonder in the story of mankind.
So this here, right? Like this is like the ruins of Persepolis. So Persepolis was the capital city of the Persian Empire. So that's you're seeing like parts of the city there.
Beautiful women. In a land blessed to this day with beautiful women, inspired the miniature painter's brushes. Women with silvery voices and melting eyes.
I have to say, I totally get it's like a 1970s thing, you know, like he's like romanticizing like Iranian women, but it's really funny. I don't mind though. I don't mind. I mean, I don't think I have a silvery voice, but I know. And then he says something about her eyes. He says like eyes like gazelles or something, but I don't know. It's just really funny how they like, you know, people described each other. Like they're making Iran seem like this very exotic place. Although, I mean, I guess it is. You know what? I have to remember that, like for non-Iranians, especially people who are not from the Middle East, Iran is pretty exotic. In fact, you know, everything you could think of, like with the Middle East, like you could find in Iran, like all the stereotypes and everything. And in fact, interesting side note, A Thousand and One Nights, Shahrzad and A Thousand and One Nights is an Iranian story. And in fact, the princess's name, you guys say Scheherazade. It's actually pronounced Shahrzad, which is an ancient Persian name from the Persian Empire. So there you go. 1001 Arabian Nights doesn't exist. It was just like some ignorant person just added the Arabian part to it. But you know, 1001 Nights is originally Persian. There you go.
Eyes like the eyes of the gazelle, which leaps over the tarnished gold of the mountainsides. Over the centuries grew palaces and mosques.
Will continue to triumph, and we will triumph against the Islamic Republic, because again, this was made 7-8 years before the Islamic Republic took over. So everything he's saying still relevant today, and the Islamic Republic is not special. They're no different than any other occupiers in the past. We have maintained our Iranian identity and heritage for thousands of years. We'll continue to do so well after the Islamic Republic is thrown into the. So that's the Shah of Iran, Shahanshah Aryameh, and that's the Empress. And then you'll see behind the his son, that's the current Shah in exile of Iran, Shahanshah Aryameh. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday to you, Shahanshah Aryameh. Thank you for what you did back in 1971. Thank you for giving us future generations of Iranians an opportunity to witness that historic event and to celebrate it and to throw it in the face of the Islamists who have tried to erase our identity for 2,500 years. For 1,400 years, I should say, they have tried to erase our identity. They have not been able to do so. They will not be able to do so, and we will keep your legacy going and strong. We love you, Shahanshah Aryameh.
The Lord's anointed of the prophet Isaiah in the Old Testament. Cyrus, the founder of Persian culture and the father of Iran, the land, 5 times the size of Great Britain, which this Shah rules today. In solemnly dedicating himself to the memory of his predecessor, the Shah was keeping a promise he had made 10 years earlier. As he left the tomb to join his empress and his 10-year-old son, the crown prince, he was filled with a sense of occasion. It had fallen to him, after a twilight in his nation's long history, to remind the world and his own people of Persian pride.
کوروش شاه بزرگ شاه شاهان شاه هخامنشی.
So he said Kurosh, Cyrus, right? So in Farsi, Cyrus is Kurosh. So he says Kurosh, the great king, the king of kings, the king of the Persian Empire.
شاه ایران زمین.
The king of Iran, the Shah of Iran.
از جانب من.
Guys, if you haven't already figured it out by now, Shah is king in Farsi, so Shah.
شاهنشاه ایران.
The king of
و از جانب ملت من.
O Cyrus, great king, king of kings, Achaemenian king, king of the land of Iran, I, the Shahanshah of Iran, offer these salutations from myself.
So they're standing in front of the tomb of Cyrus the Great, right? Like, so he's proclaiming, like, this is basically, he's honoring Cyrus the Great right now by standing in front of his tomb.
And from my nation, at this glorious moment in the history of Iran.
That's the current Shah in exile. This is him when he was obviously a child. So yeah, he's the current Shah of Iran right now.
I and all Iranians, the offspring of the empire which thou founded 2,500 years ago, bow our heads in reverence before thy tomb. We cherish thy undying memory.
پاس می‌داریم.
That's Persepolis. So you guys right now are going to get an in-depth look into the Persian Empire, because the Shah of Iran, God bless his soul, brought it to life. He brought it to life. All the money he spent was spent on bringing our past to life. And yeah, I always get a little bit emotional when I see this. I always get like goosebumps when I see this, because you know, it resonates. It resonates. And you know, with all the evil that the Islamic Republic has brought upon the Iranian people and our nation, with all the, you know, death and despair and suffering, and I could go on and on about the horrific things they have done to us for 47 years in the name of like Islam and Allah and whatever. It's so depressing. Something like this is like a beacon of light. It's like a ray of hope, right? Like it's a window into a world of possibilities where the Iran's past could be, or not could be, Iran's past will be her future. So this what you're looking at is what you can expect when Iran is free. It's not going to be like Iraq or Libya or Afghanistan. None of that. None of that. We're going to go back to what we were before 1979, which is a proper country, a proper functioning country with a heritage and a cultural identity that predates Islam by thousands of years. So what you're looking at right now is not just Iran's past, but it's her future. As soon as the Islamic Republic is overthrown, and we're getting to that point, we're going to go back to this. So this gives you a very good insight into Iranian society and culture.
In the middle of October 1971, 62 heads of state, or their direct representatives, converged on the airport of the fairy tale city of Shiraz, set in the desert beside the Persian Gulf. In a patchwork of color, in a whirl of salutes, bows and curtsies, familiar faces in the world scene stepped out of their aircraft over red carpets fringed with guards of honor into the welcoming Persian sunlight. It was just like this. Too much was happening to pick out the detail. For all the arrivals, ceremony and protocol had to be careful.
I love this. Like you can see leaders from all over the world, right? Like this was the it place to be.
Carefully observed. None who were there saw it all. So began one of the most historic cultural gatherings the world has ever seen.
Look at all those flags.
The flags of the guest nations.
Guys. Do you see that? Is that the flag of America? One of them is. I think. Let me see. Let me open up the chat here. Guys, I think that's the flag of the United States because there were definitely U.S. representatives there for sure, 100%. So there you go. Isn't that wild, guys? Can you see that? No, maximizing it won't make a difference here. Maximizing. I think that's the flag of the United States, and it's like in the center, right? Like the place of honor. So I mean, again, like Iran and the United States were huge allies prior to 1979. It was only when the Islamic Republic came in that they started chanting death to America, right? Because it's that Islamic colonial jihadi anti-imperialist mindset. But oh my gosh, it's just amazing. Look at that, the flag of America flying high in Iran, along with so many other flags. Look at that. Like this is when Iran used to be a normal country before the Islamic Republic took over, brought Sharia law, and occupied our country. Guys, let me know if you spot any other flags here. Let me know if you spot the flag of your country. Let me know in the chat. And if you don't mind, if you're enjoying it, please make sure that you like and follow as well.
Flew in salute as the VIPs flew in. This was no party of the year. It was the celebration of 25 centuries. after day, escorted cars drove out through Shiraz into the desert towards the ruined palace of the great kings of antiquity, the historic birthplace of the Persian Empire. The guests were traveling to a reception without precedent.
I mean, when you like, these are just like, the streets, right? When you look at the streets, you look at the cars, you couldn't tell if this is Iran or like some Western European country. Like, you can't tell if this is Iran or New York, right? Look at the way people are dressed. Look at, the streets, look at the cars. It was no different. It was no different, right? Like, Iran was incredibly modernized and incredibly westernized.
Even in the days of Cyrus the Great.
Look at all the people.
Their camp,
Right, Larry?
you can call it a camp.
Okay. I generally, I see it. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I missed the super stickers. So, Unusual AI, thank you so much for the super stickers. I appreciate that so much. Appreciate the support. I don't normally show non-starred messages because, I don't want to then I'd have to do for everyone, and I can't. But there's one message here that Larry put out: make Iran great again. Thank you. Yes, we want to make Iran great again, because prior to 1979, Iran was great, and we are working to get back to that. Thank you for the support. Okay, guys, so here's the tent city that I spoke to you about, right? Remember I showed you some pictures? Now I guess we're going to get a glimpse of the tent city.
It was shaped like a star with 5 wings branching out from the royal pavilion to represent the 5 continents. Each head of state had an apartment with a sitting room, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Did you guys catch that? Like, even the design of the tent city had meaning. Like, look at that. So it's 5 branches for 5 continents. That is so, just the amount of thought and detail and planning that went into this is absolutely incredible, right? Like, who would have even thought to do something like that? And yet they did. So it just, I love it. I love it. I love everything about this.
Their camp, if you can call it a camp, was shaped like a star with 5 wings branching out from the royal pavilion to represent the 5 continents. Each head of state had an apartment with a sitting room, 2 bedrooms, and 2 bathrooms, and a service room with an electric stove and ironing board for their entourage. The Shah had personally supervised all the preparations. In sight of the ruins of the great palace of his predecessors, which had taken 187 years to build, the complex of new building was a major piece of construction, even for modern times. One day, it is thought that it might become a super hotel for wealthy tourists. The great hand weavers of Persian carpets had been using their uncanny skill to make portraits in silk of each of the distinguished guests.
I love that. Oh my gosh. Could you imagine, you get a portrait of yourself that's a Persian rug? That is incredible. Oh my gosh. I mean, we're known for Persian rugs, obviously, and, silk Persian rugs. Look at how much pride the Shah had in Iranian art and history and culture, right? Like, every element of this 2,500 year celebration incorporated Iranian culture and heritage in some way. I mean, he could have spent hundreds of millions of dollars more on top. It would not have been enough. If you know what, it would have been worth it. Every single penny spent on this, 100% worth it, because this is a celebration that makes me proud as an Iranian. And this is something that is at the level of celebrating a civilization that has existed for 2,500 years, right? A nation, the Iranian nation, right? You don't often get to celebrate your 2,500th birthday. Most countries in the world don't celebrate their 2,500th birthday. So, kind of a big deal. And I'm so glad that he did this. This is amazing. This is, oh my gosh, I love this. And not only that, it's good for the economy because he is paying Iranians to create works of art. Like, that's fantastic, right? He's promoting Iranian art, culture, heritage. Because could you imagine when, they get these gifts and they go, other people are going to want them, so then they're going to buy them, right? It's an amazing way to boost the economy and bring in, foreign buyers and foreign spending.
Portraits were to be hung in their sitting rooms. As the famous men and women matched their pictures with their presents, they were given an excited greeting. Persia was in gala mood. The villagers had heard.
So, guys, I want to point something out here. So do you see how the women, right? Some of them have hijab and some don't, right? So you can see here, like, she's got like a little headscarf on. That was pretty much the extent of like hijab for Iranian women, right? Even those who were Muslim, first of all, many Iranian, Muslims did not cover their hair. So you can see her here. But even like the Muslim women, they were not that, definitely not to the extent today, right? Like where everyone has to walk around wearing like a black blanket and looks like a trash bag. Like, and Iran was free, right? This is the thing you guys need to understand. Iran was free. Everyone had the freedom to practice their religion or not, right? So you see this woman here wearing the hijab, and by the way, she's still dancing in public. So she's wearing the hijab, but she's dancing in public, and then this woman is not, right? Right now, like, to me, watching this video is incredible because since the Islamic Republic took over in 1979, public dancing is banned. First of all, women cannot go out dressed like that. Like, that's illegal, right? You got to like wear all black. Second of all, public dancing is banned and public music is banned because it's seen as un-Islamic and haram. So the fact that I'm even seeing this is mind-blowing. And again, like, this just flies in the face of all the Islamists who constantly say, Iran is a Muslim country, Iran is Muslim, always Muslim. No, never. Like, there were Muslims in Iran, yes. I mean, even the Shah of Iran, even the emperor himself, he was Muslim, but Iran was not an Islamic society. Do you guys get the difference? So there were Iranians, various different religions, right? We have Iranian Muslims, Iranian Christians, Iranian Jews, Iranian Baha'i, Zoroastrians, agnostic, atheists, the whole thing, right? Anything you could think of. We all lived peacefully. There was no issue there. Iran was not an Islamic country. It was only when the Islamic Republic came and imposed Sharia law on Iranians that Iran officially became an Islamic country, and we've been fighting it ever since 1979. But as you can tell, Iran was not a Muslim country. Like, it was not an Islamic Muslim country. It was a normal country, like just like anywhere in the West.
Heard on radio and television that the great people of the world were coming to honor their country.
See, like this
country which,
like, this is all traditional dress. Even the way the women are dressed, that's not good enough for the Islamists. So this right here, like 2-3 years ago, Mahsa Amini, she was a 22-year-old woman from the province of Kurdistan. She was murdered by the Islamic Republic's morality police, their Islamic morality police. She was beaten to death because her mandatory hijab was showing too much hair. So this right here, that's enough to get you killed in the Islamic Republic today.
It ruled in the past what was the
That's
then
totally
known
not
Earth.
allowed. This is banned in Iran. People
A country
still do
which
it now,
after
right? So people now, like, so when the Islamic Republic first came into power in 1979, they had a lot of control. There was a lot of religious like fervor as well and everything. So everything was banned. Everything was banned. They would still want it to be banned to this day, but things have changed quite a bit. You have 3 generations of Iranians who were born after the Islamic Republic who want nothing to do with Sharia law, starting with myself, the millennials, and then the Gen Z, and now Gen Alpha. And so you're seeing more and more videos and images coming out of young people in Iran just, walking around without wearing hijab as much, or maybe like dancing or singing in the streets. Totally not allowed. Like, totally, the thought of me, like, because I visited Iran a few times when I was young. I was there as a teenager for a few months, and completely different, right? The thought of like even going out and dancing, um, like gets me nervous, makes me start to shake because I've seen what happens, right? But so the images and videos that you're seeing right now coming out of Iran, where young people are, singing or dancing or playing rock music, that's not because the Islamic Republic uh, is no longer there. It's because those young people are engaging in civil disobedience. Can you imagine, like, civil disobedience in Iran is singing and dancing? This right here is civil disobedience. Why? Because this is against Sharia law.
Centuries of apathy.
But here you go. Like, this looks like any normal celebration. So, guys, for those of you who just joined, this is Iran prior to 1979 when Islamic regime took over. This is the 1971 celebration of the 2500-year anniversary of the Persian Empire. So you are watching videos of when Iran was normal. And if you guys, just a quick plug, if you guys want to see more footage like this, I actually have a playlist on my YouTube channel called Iran Before 1979, and I'm adding videos to that. So make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you can go to the playlist. I just started the playlist yesterday. I've already uploaded five or six videos, and I'm going to be uploading more daily. So, at any time you want to see what Iran looked like before 1979, just go to that playlist because it's got a whole bunch of stuff already, and I'm going to be adding more to it as well.
Their Shah was determined to lead into the 20th century. He began by inviting the world to...
Sorry, I have to stop again. This is women in 1971 in Iran. Like, does this look like an Islamic country to you? Right? Like, this is insane. This right now is banned in Iran.
Stop, look, and listen. The modern world had half forgotten.
And the other thing I wanted to mention is one of the things that, like, the communists or the Islamists say is that minorities had no rights and minorities were persecuted by the Shah. Utter, complete nonsense. BS. It's taqiyya, right? It's just another lie that the Islamists spread to propagate hatred for the Shah and to fuel people into overthrowing the Shah, bringing about the Islamic Republic. The Shah never persecuted minorities. Look, he literally celebrated the various cultures and tribes and everything about Iran. Like you're seeing all these different types of traditional dance and everything. So I mean, everything you think you know about the Shah is a lie because you have been fed propaganda by the Islamists for 47 years. But you know what? You know what does not lie? Videos and images. And that's why they don't want you to see this stuff, because they don't want you to know the truth.
Persia's place on the map. The best beginning for the future was to sound the trumpets and recall the Persian people to the glories of their own past. What happened was assuredly unforgettable. Throughout the day and into the night, the Shah was in constant attendance on the newly arriving guests. His hand, for 100 times, was stretched in welcome. Looking at these scenes, a poker player might well reflect that here is that rare hand in cards, which is called a royal flush. leaders whom we all recognize.
Wow, like this really was the golden era. Like this was the golden age of Iran. Look at that. Like people are normal, they're well dressed, having like regular conversations. People are happy, right? Like this is what the Islamic Republic took from us. This is what Sharia law took from us.
Had a unique opportunity for relaxed conversation. Well, perhaps not now with the TV cameras looking on, but others were talking elsewhere. An international congress of 250 scholars were already in session at Shiraz. The papers they read on Persian culture were to be published and circulated to research institutes throughout the world. Such a brain's trust of Persian study had never been collected before. In Shiraz, where there is a garden appropriately named Garden of Paradise, the lights twinkled like diamonds, like the bubbles in a glass of champagne. It is not often that a state occasion.
I love this. Like, I feel like I'm watching like a fairy tale, right? Like this is something that you would see in like the movies, and yet, here it is. Like it's absolutely stunning. I'm thoroughly enjoying every second of this.
Like this has been shown to the world. Not often, if ever, that so many leaders of state have been gathered together simply to honor an anniversary in the history of a civilization. In the state reception room of the Royal Pavilion in Persepolis move people who influence the destiny of mankind. The order of precedence, the etiquette of who sits where and who leads who to dinner, call for all the skills of diplomacy.
Wow, look at the queens. Look at like so many queens. Like I think I'm gonna have to find a list. I'm pretty sure like every single royal member from all the various countries were there. Like the amount of queens I am seeing, I can't recall the last time like this many queens were gathered in one place. Queens and kings, right? Like it's just so elegant. It's like something out of a dream.
Your Majesties, honorable presidents of republics, highnesses, eminences, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. The Shah was proposing the toast of his guests. Look at some of them. In our gathering this evening, past history is linked with the realities of today. Such a bond of past and present, achieved by understanding and friendship, is surely an omen of good.
بدین جهت بود که موضوع این دعوت را شایسته آن می‌دانستیم که شما رنج این سفر را بر خود هموار کنید.
On the following evening, the guests moved out into the star-spangled Persian night toward Persepolis, the ruined palace of Cyrus's successor, Darius, and his son Xerxes. Alexander the Great, The conqueror who reduced it to a shell is said to have needed 10,000 mules and 6,000 camels to remove the treasures which were housed in the precincts. The climax for the royal guests was a saint-lumière among the great stones where it all happened. From the tomb in the mountainside overlooking the palace where he ruled 500 years before Christ, the voice of Darius the Great speaks again.
Open! Open!
Okay, so what they're doing is they're doing a light show. So imagine you're in the desert, right? Like you're in the ruins of Persepolis, which is the ancient capital of the Persian Empire. You're there to commemorate the 2,500 year anniversary of the Persian Empire. And then you're out in the desert at night, and then all of a sudden this like amazing light show starts, you know, with the ruins. And if you haven't been to the ruins, Persepolis, it is breathtaking. I went. I actually was able to visit when I was younger. I think I was like 14 maybe at the time, and we went to go see it. And even though the Islamic Republic has not maintained it, it's in a state of disrepair. It is still so incredibly majestic, and you know, I want to go back. Like I'm dying to go back. It's just there's something about Persepolis, like as an Iranian, and I think I speak for all Iranians when I say this, it just calls to your blood, right? It's like there's like this draw to just go to Persepolis, right? Because it's really where our Iranian identity and heritage started, and it's just so awe-inspiring to walk through this giant ancient city. And I just sometimes I feel envy. I'm very jealous of the Iranians who lived, you know, 2,500 years ago under the time of Cyrus the Great. Like imagine living in such a fantastic civilization. Like I just it's amazing. All right, let's watch this light show, and guys, like enjoy, because this part is amazing.
The gates guarded by winged bulls with human heads.
Now comes the procession of the ambassadors, their beards in ringlets, their hair curled. A long procession towards the stairways of stone and black marble, guarded by the lancers of our royal guard, the 10,000 immortals. The long train of the horsemen from the steppes and the Arab camel drivers moving toward the tall forest of stone columns that reach to the sky in a gesture of prayer.
The Ionians and the Aeolians, living on land and sea, bring you their rams and amber chalices.
And when I reconquered Cyprus and the Greek colonies of Asia, I too left them all their liberties.
Look at the detail.
Ahura Mazda has deigned, through the words of my mouth, to allow...
So when he says Ahura Mazda, he's referring to the Zoroastrian god, right?
his image to cohabit with those of the Greek gods on coins.
Okay. Okay, guys, now we're getting to like my favorite part where all these Iranians are now dressed in the clothes from that time, and you're gonna see sort of like this, you're gonna see almost like a military parade. So I have to look into this, I can't recall, but I'm pretty sure like a lot of the people that are dressed in these outfits are part of the Iranian army at the time. So the military parade, right? It's showing like all the weapons and all the various outfits or whatever, but the military parade starts like 2,500 years ago. So you're gonna see like this build up, and you're gonna see how the outfits change, um, as we go century past century, right? You're gonna see you're about to see 2,500 years worth of Persian military. Okay, so again, my favorite part here. I love this, and the fact that not only was the Shah able to bring this to life, but also it was recorded so that future generations can enjoy. Phenomenal, phenomenal, right? This is what the Islamists complain about. They don't like the fact that there was an Iran that existed well before Islam was invented. They don't like the fact that Iran is going to exist well after their Islamic Republic is gone. That's why they attack us. That's why they attack this ceremony, right? But when you look at it, like this is phenomenal. Like this is, I love it. I love it. I wish he'd spent more. I wish he'd spent more.
Long, long ago, the ancient Persians invented the postal system with relays of horsemen bringing news from the distant outposts of empire. Today, in the company of his guests, in the long shadow of the ruins of Persepolis, messengers of good omen bring the Shah the greetings of his Senate in Tehran.
در این روز بزرگ تاریخ ایران از تخت جمشید زادگاه شاهنشاه.
Today we submit to history the account of the past 2,500 years, and we firmly believe that the balance is proudly to our credit.
الهام بخش همه مردم روی زمین در ادامه راه آنان به سوی نیکبختی واقعی جامعه بشری باشد.
Guys, how cool is this? How, like, it's incredible. It's incredible. So, you're in the desert, right? You're in the ruins of Persepolis, the ancient city of the Persian Empire, right? Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, built Persepolis as well. So you're in the ruins of Persepolis, a city that existed 2,500 years ago. And now this incredible parade is about to start, which highlights and showcases the history of the Persian civilization. Like, I have chills right now. Like, I would give anything to witness something like this firsthand myself. And it's not such a wild thing. Like, I have a feeling that if the Islamic Republic hadn't taken over and we had continued to be a normal secular country, we would be seeing a lot more stuff like this. I mean, think of all of the parades that various countries host around the world, right? Annually, Christmas parades, Thanksgiving parades, you know, all of those things. And yet the fact that we Iranians held a parade to commemorate the 2,500th birthday of our nation is something that the Islamists complained about and still complain about, right? Communists don't respect history. Islamists don't respect history. And the fact that they are now coming into your countries and they're trying to cancel your celebrations, it's not a bug, it's a feature because they canceled this. The Islamists canceled this for us. And now I cannot experience this right now until Iran is free. Like, I have to celebrate Cyrus the Great Day outside of Iran because the Islamists are controlling the country. And no, the Shah did not bankrupt the country by throwing the ball. I mean, guys, this is like, it's the most ridiculous argument that Islamists put out. All governments invest in tourism. And I'm saying this to you as a former politician. I was a politician for 7 years in Ontario, Canada. All governments have a ministry of tourism and heritage and culture. And governments invest in tourism and heritage and culture because this brings in outsiders. They want to come to the country and then they want to spend, right? So these things are, just from an economic point of view, it's good for business. The fact that the Shah did this, this paid like exponentially in dividends, right? This was not wasting money. This was an investment in Iran. This was an investment in Iranian culture, in Iranian tourism. He basically put Iran on the map because after this, all of a sudden, people from around the world wanted to travel to Iran. And in fact, a few years after this, Iran Air had the first direct flight from New York City nonstop to Tehran, Iran. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine in the 70s, there was a direct flight from New York to Tehran, well before there were direct flights to any other countries in the Middle East, but there was a direct flight, right? Why? It was because of this, because the investment that the Shah put into this celebration paid in dividends. And this is what the Islamists don't want. This is like what communists and Islamists don't get. I don't know, maybe they're just low IQ, maybe they're stupid. I don't know. Every single government has a budget for tourism and heritage and culture. It's expected, right? It's expected. And yet for some reason, the Islamists are complaining about the Shah doing this. And you know what? It makes sense because they are so low IQ and they don't understand anything about the economy. The Shah was actually growing Iran's economy, and the GDP was growing, like it was improving exponentially. Now the economy in Iran is like the worst in the entire world. The rial is worth next to nothing. Inflation is through the roof. 70% of people live below the poverty line because not only have the mullahs stolen all the money for themselves, Iran is a resource oil-rich country. There is no reason for anyone to be poor. In fact, Iranian citizens, they don't even have to work. People could be completely unemployed and the government could still pay for them all. That's how rich Iran is. But all the Ayatollahs have done is they have stolen the money for themselves, right? They're all worth billions and billions of dollars. And they also don't know how to run a country. They have no idea of economics because they're all a bunch of like inbred, uneducated mullahs. The only thing they know how to read is the Quran. They know nothing about governing a country. And so Iran's economy is literally the worst it has ever been in the history of its existence, right? And yet those Islamists are complaining about this investment that the Shah made in Iran, right? He invested in Iran, which then paid out in dividends because this is what promoted tourism. And then you have millions of people traveling to Iran annually to visit. Like that's exactly the reason for something like this. But the low IQ Islamists and communists, they don't get it.
Persia is on parade. A parade of the great warriors of Persian history, led by the prehistoric men in skins who were the first of all. war chariots of the Achaemenian kings who conquered and civilized the ancient world, whose trumpets were a call of peace.
Another thing I want to point out, guys, so the movie 300 did Iranians dirty. The movie 300 is the most inaccurate depiction of Iranians I have ever seen, because in that movie, they depicted Iranians and Xerxes as like these, I don't know, savages who were half naked barbarians, and they were pierced and whatever. Nothing farther from the truth. In fact, it was the Greeks and Romans that were usually half naked. This is what Iranians looked like. So, when you're thinking about all those ancient battles, when you think about the movie 300, this is what Iranians actually looked like, right? Not that. Iranians, the Persian Empire, basically invented military formations and battalions and all that stuff, right? So all of the modern day military organization stuff, you guys, I don't know, I'm not a military person, but those battalions and all the groups and orders and whatever, the Persian Empire invented that. That is another invention of the Persian Empire, because the military was very, very precise and very organized. So again, the movie 300, utter nonsense, totally did us dirty, because we never looked like that. This is what we looked like. We were fully dressed, fully clothed. Okay, so keep that in mind.
These were the Persian infantry with wicker shields, sons of Cyrus and Darius, who ruled so many peoples, but awarded them all the rights of free men. There were no slaves.
Yeah, see, this is what the Persians in the movie 300 should have looked like, because this is historically accurate. This is what we looked like, 3,000 years ago. The movie 300 is utter nonsense. I refuse to watch that. I think I watched it one time when it first came out, and I didn't even watch it in theaters. I think I downloaded it or something, off Napster or whatever it was called at the time. So thankfully I didn't even pay for it, because it was a garbage movie, utter crap, utter nonsense, completely historically inaccurate, and completely racist towards Iranians, by the way. This is what the Iranians in the movie 300 should have looked like.
Slaves in the Persian Empire.
I love how they're juxtaposing. Do you see this? So the you could see the similarity between the guys, the people who are dressed as the infantry, and then the carvings on the wall, right? So basically all those carvings on the walls of Persepolis are being brought to life here. It's just gives me goosebumps. Fun fact, in case you guys didn't know, there were also women in the Persian army. In fact, there are several famous Iranian women in the Persian Empire who were generals and commanders. One person I can think of off the top of my head is Pantea Artishbad. She was a very, very famous general in the Persian army. So in case you didn't know, in the Persian Empire, women and men were equal.
than 10 years, archaeological experts studying the records which remain pieced together how the old warriors must have looked. No stirrups for the cavalry. Stirrups were invented centuries later. Every historic detail in this parade, so far as we can know today, is exact.
This is the other thing as well. So this is what the Persian Empire was 2,500 years ago. So you can see, like, well dressed, organized, civilized, like everything you would think of in a modern society, right? And yet somehow the Islamists, they claim that Islam like brought civilization to Iran. Like, it's the biggest nonsense. Islam, the Muslim conquest of Persia was the first biggest downgrade in human civilization. And then the Islamic Republic, and then, after the Shah here, all his efforts to modernize Iran, bring us forward, the second biggest downgrade is the Islamic Republic, which took over in 1979. And then you're basically seeing exactly what happened in 650 happened again in 1979, because in 1979, Iran was a modern, thriving, secular, prosperous country, and then Islam and Sharia law came, turned the country right back into a 7th century Islamic hellhole, and overnight took the country back 1,400 years. So this is what Iran was like before Islam was invented. Keep that, like, thousands of years before Islam was invented, this is what Iran was like.
This wooden fortress, pulled by a span of oxen, was one of the first siege weapons.
Imagine, okay, let me just pull back a little bit here. Could you imagine, like, if you're, I don't know, like a Greek or Roman warrior or something, and then all of a sudden you see this like giant siege tower coming at you? I don't know. I mean, if I saw that coming at me and I was like the opposite side, and I see like this giant like, siege tower, like, look at that, right? Like, this is like a, I don't know, how big is that? That's like as big as like a 3-story building at least. If I saw that coming towards me, I would be like, guys, like, nope, I'm noping at it. I would just like give up and just run away. And what's interesting, actually, in fact, is a lot of Greek historians have written about how sometimes when, the Persians were going to battle like the Greeks or the Romans or whatever, when the Persians arrived, because they were so in military formation, like what you're seeing here, because they were so organized, well dressed, a lot of like military equipment, and then they had these like giant siege towers or whatever. Just the literal act of the Persian army showing up was enough to like cause the other side to just surrender. And we actually, one of the other ways we know that women, Iranian women, were in the army is because Greek and Roman historians wrote about women in the Persian army. In fact, according to the Greek and Roman historians, I'll see if I can find a reference. I can't remember. I think it was Herodotus. I can't remember. But they basically wrote that Iranian women were even more fiercer than Iranian men. And so apparently, whenever there was going to be like a battle or a fight, when the Persians showed up, if they were being led by a woman general, the other side would just run away. They were like, there's no way we're going to handle this. Like, they were more afraid of the Iranian women than the men. Like, that's how much Iranian women were powerful, and that's how much strength and that's how fierce they were. And so there's a reason that Iranians, from the time of the Persian Empire, we always compare ourselves to lions. And you can see even our flag has the lion and sun on it, right? And so we refer to like very strong people as Shirmard or Shirzan, which means like lion man lion woman, a reference to brave and courageous and ferocious. So there you go, a little piece of history. Iranian women even more fierce than Iranian men when it comes to the military in the Persian Empire. And if an Iranian woman was leading the way, more often than not, the other side would just give up and be like, nope, we're not dealing because there's a woman there. She's ruthless. Thought you might want to know.
In these frail oared boats, armies whose soldiers and wagon train was said to have stretched 28 miles crossed the Mediterranean. Over the centuries, through dynasties that have spread long before Christ of modern times, Persia has prevailed. Conquerors from the time of Alexander have adopted Persian ways. The spirit of the country has risen.
Did you guys catch that? Like, all the other militaries learned from the Persian army. Like, even Alexander the Great improved his military tactics by learning from the Persians and the Persian army.
Again and again.
And like, I'm not denouncing it, right? Like, I'm not complaining or anything or criticizing. I'm just saying, like, you know, it's just interesting to see how much the Persian Empire contributed to the world and contributed to other civilizations as well. And, you know, mad respect for the Greeks and Romans. I love you guys. You're like brothers and sisters. You know, the beef from like 3,000 years ago. We don't care about that. And I've been to Greece, beautiful country, one of my favorite countries. I love it.
The trumpets have never ceased sounding.
That's the other thing I want to point out. So the people in the boats that are like, they're rowing, okay, those are not slaves. That's the one thing I want to clarify. The people who are like rowing the boats, no slaves. In various other civilizations, especially at the time, and you know, even like in the Arab slave trade, which I spoke about in one of my previous live streams, many other civilizations used slaves, especially for like the boats and rowing and stuff. The Persians did not. There was no slavery. So even those
the spirit of the country has risen again and again.
Pull it up again.
The trumpets have never ceased sounding.
Is it called the galley? I think it's the galley. Yeah. So you see these people. So these people in the galley, if this was any other civilization, they would usually be slaves, right? And you know how slaves are dressed, like just like a loincloth or whatever. But you can see, even from the way that they're dressed, these people are not slaves. So they're like, slavery was not like a core part of the Persian Empire. Again, it goes back to Cyrus the Great and how whenever he went somewhere and he conquered, he would actually free all of the slaves, right? Like, he would free them from their enslavement, and then they would become citizens of the Persian Empire, equal to everyone else. And so here you can see, like, again, like, no slaves here. These are all soldiers.
During the next 500 years in which the Great Wall of China was built, in which Hannibal crossed the Alps and Julius Caesar conquered Gaul, these were the Parthian soldiers of the Arsacid dynasty.
Sorry, I'm seeing, so Gandalf looked it up. Gandalf, thank you so much for that. So Gandalf is saying in the comments that the net positive from this celebration was $175 million worth of tourism in the first year alone. So after this, tourism to Iran exploded. And so every single penny that the Shah spent on the 2500-year anniversary of the Persian Empire came back like tenfold, right? Like that's how economics works, and that's why various governments have a budget for tourism, heritage, culture. Every single government, well, functioning government has that. It's only like the Islamists who don't do that, right? Because all they care about is Islam. And that's why they're the ones complaining, because they, for them, nothing else matters. So again, everyone who's complaining about the Shah's extravagant party in the desert, it's all a bunch of nonsense. Either they never looked into it, and they never bothered to check the facts, or they're Islamists and they're just part of spreading that taqiyya, right? Because they want to justify keeping Iran occupied by the Islamic Republic. But as you can see, it was literally a celebration honoring 2,500 years of the Persian Empire, right? I mean, it's no different than celebrating Canada Day or the 4th of July, right? No one complains about it. In fact, it's expected. You're expected to invest and spend and promote tourism and heritage and multicultural, culture and all that stuff. That's exactly what the Shah did in 1971. And I'm glad he did it. And in fact, I wish he did it every year. I wish he did it every year, and I wish he spent even more than he did, because every single penny was an investment in Iranian identity, in Iranian heritage, and in Iranian tourism. People saw this and then they were like, I want to go visit Iran. So again, as you can see, the movie 300 did us dirty. The movie 300 is a lie. Persians never, ever, ever, ever looked like that, ever.
The Sasanians, with their sugarloaf hats, which are still worn in Persia today, followed during the centuries when Mohammed founded Islam, and the powers of ancient Rome sank into final decline. The Safavids ruled Persia in the age when Charlemagne was crowned the Holy Roman Emperor in 800 AD.
So 880 AD would have been after the Muslim conquest of Persia, but as you can tell, the Persians, even though they, had been, colonized by Islam, they still kept their Iranian identity, and so, everything about this is distinctly Persian, right? No similarity. I mean, there's similarities, of course. In the Middle East, everyone can, dress a certain way and act a certain way, similarities, but Iran maintained its own distinct cultural identity even after the Muslim conquest of Persia.
The Dialmites were contemporaries of William the Conqueror, the Battle of Hastings, 1066, and all that.
Sorry, so Gandalf, yeah, the soldiers, I told you guys in the beginning, these aren't actors. Most of them are actual soldiers in the imperial army of the Shahanshah. Yeah, so these aren't actors, these are actual soldiers. That's why they're able to march in formation, right? Like these aren't actors, these are soldiers from the imperial army of Iran, and of course Garda Javidan, the what is it, the Immortal Guard Division, who were participating in this. That's why everything is so precise. Like this is a military parade, guys. This isn't like a bunch of actors cosplaying, right? Like this is not I don't know, like Disneyland where you know people dressed up like princesses and pretend. No, these are actual soldiers in the army, and they're just wearing different outfits, right? Like they're wearing outfits from various eras during the Persian Empire. But this is, yeah, like this is a military parade. It's showcasing the military technology of the Persian Empire, starting from Cyrus the Great and then working their way forward.
Columbus was discovering America when the Safavids were on the march. The Afsharids were a short-lived dynasty in Persian terms, who belonged to the time when Bonnie Prince Charlie raised the flag of the Stuart Rebellion in Scotland. The Afsharids mounted muskets on swivels on their camels. The Zans, although they can scarcely have heard about it, fought their battles at the time of the Declaration of American Independence. The style of their uniform shows that the Qajas belong to the Napoleonic era. Armed services of the latest of the present dynasty in Persia, the Pahlavi, gather for a grand assembly. The world is looking on.
Love that. I love that. How cool is that, guys? Okay, so that is so symbolic. Okay, look at this. So this is a soldier. Oh, Chelo, thank you. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate the support. Make sure you check out my members tab on my YouTube channel. because I do have a post there that I put for members. So make sure you check out that post and give me your feedback on that. One of the perks of being a member of the channel. So if anyone else, if you guys want to be a bit more involved in the live streams, you're welcome to join and become a member. And then you can also see my members only posts and updates that I put on the members tab. So thank you so much for that support there. But one thing I want to point out, like, how symbolic is this, where you have a soldier who's dressed up, from the time of the Cyrus the Great, so 2,500 years ago, and then in front of him is the modern day military, right, of the Pahlavi dynasty. So it's like, it's a direct link, right? It's so symbolic in a way. It's a direct link between the founding of the Persian Empire back, in 2,500 years ago, all the way to modern times. And it's like, the spirit of Cyrus the Great is looking down on the current imperial army of the Pahlavi dynasty. It's just such a beautiful scene here. Very, very symbolic. I love this.
These are the household troops of the Shah. Here is the new army, which...
Okay, so see the women? See the women in the army? Do you see how much women were respected and valued prior to 1979? We were a normal functioning country. We were going towards, we were modernizing, and women were treated equally. In fact, women in Iran had the right to vote before women in Switzerland and Portugal. Women in Iran had the right to vote in 1963. There was no suffragette movement in Iran because it was a top-down approach, because the Shah of Iran, recognized the importance of equality between men and women, and so he dictated it from the top down. He said from now on, no one had to convince him. He was the one who made the announcement. It was part of the White Revolution. That actually pissed off the Islamists, by the way. That's for another live stream, because I could go on and on about that. But you know something? After the Islamic Republic took over, not only did they turn our country into a 7th century Islamic hellhole, they brought in Sharia law, and then they eliminated all of this. So all of the advances that the Shah had made, not just to modernize Iran, but to make sure that women were treated equally, and that women had the same opportunities, and that women were respected, all that was taken away by the Islamic Republic. And again, remember, women in the army is not a new concept to Iran, because even Greek and Roman historians wrote about the, generals and leaders and navy commanders in the Persian army 2,500 years ago who were women, right? Pantel Atishbad was one. I think Ruxana was another one. There's, if you look them up, they're there. And this isn't even something in my history, right? This isn't even something in, just only in Iranian history. This is something that's confirmed by the Greeks and the Romans. The Greeks and the Romans even confirmed that there were women in the Persian army 2,500 years ago, because that concept of equality between a man and a woman is something that was brought about with Cyrus the Great and the founding of the Persian Empire.
The Shah is created to develop literacy, health, and international development, a peace army.
Oh, there we go. I want to go back a little bit.
These are the household troops of the Shah.
I love that.
Here is the new army which the Shah has created to develop literacy, health, and international development, a peace army to fight poverty, hunger, and social injustice. A great
Did you guys catch that? So he literally created a division within the army that he called the Peace Army. And the Peace Army, the purpose of the Peace Army was to fight illiteracy and poverty and hunger. So he was literally paying Iranians to go in various parts of the country to eradicate poverty, to educate people, to raise the literacy rates. This is what he was doing. This is how much he was investing in Iran. And yet the Islamists continue to attack him, right? Because that's all they have. It's all taqiyya and lies. But when you actually look at the facts, when you look at history, right? No one can deny this. This is the truth. You are seeing actual video footage of the investment that the Shah of Iran and the Queen, by the way, the Empress of Iran, Shah Pahlavi, we cannot forget her. She's super, super important to this as well. She played a huge, huge role in the White Revolution, and we don't talk enough about her contributions. But this was their investment. This was their investment, and the Islamists did not like this. They did not like seeing women become educated, women, get more positions of authority. They did not like that because it's against Sharia law.
Great international cause in which Persia wishes to play her part.
So I just want to respond to someone in the chat. So someone said, do I have an agenda? I 100% have an agenda. My agenda is to overthrow the Islamic Republic that took my country of Iran hostage in 1979 and brought Sharia law. My agenda is to get rid of Sharia law in Iran. It's to get rid of the Islamic Republic in Iran. And I want my country of Iran, where I was born in, to go back to being a functioning, normal, secular country, just like it was prior to 1979, which is what we're seeing in this video here. So my agenda is to make Iran great again. Oh my gosh, guys, I saw Canada. Okay, we have to go back here. We have to go back. I saw Canada. Okay, so for those of you who haven't been with us from the beginning, make sure you go back and watch. But so what during this 25-year anniversary, the Shah of Iran, he invited I think 60 dignitaries from around the world, including people from Canada, United States, all over the world, royalty, political leaders. So they were all there watching, and I think we're just seeing the flags go by. So I want to go back because I saw the flag of Canada, and I am Canadian as well, and I love Canada. Not what it's become recently with all the Islamists here, but we have to fight for Canada too. But I just like, how cool is that, guys? How cool is that? That Iran used to be a normal country, and then you have all these flags of Western countries who were there as honored guests, right? Let's go back and catch Okay, so that's the United Nations. United Nations, okay, is corrupt now, but they were always kind of shady. But back in the early 70s, United Nations was still pretty functional, but they're totally corrupt right now. Like, they're just overrun with communists and Islamists. But it's so cool to see the United Nations was there as well. Iran actually played a really important role in founding various aspects of the United Nations as well. Okay, so these are all the flags. I'm gonna go I'm gonna pause and go slowly here. Guys, let me know. No, that doesn't make it bigger. It's still the same. Okay, so let me know if you see the flag of your country. Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna pause a little bit. I'm gonna make it bigger for me too. kind of hard. Oh, I see Canada. Dude, so Canada's right there in the middle frame. You see the one with the white and then the red in the middle and then the two red on the end. So it's in the bottom. So it's in the center frame, bottom right. There's like a red flag, and then you see the flag of Canada. That's the maple leaf flag. Well, what? There's no other real flag. That's the flag of Canada. Canada's flag is the Canadian maple leaf. Okay. It's hard. It's hard to. It's also hard because the color quality is not the greatest, so it's difficult to pass it. I think I saw like was that UK or Australia? Oh, is that America? No, I don't know. That's not America. What flag looks like America but only has one star on it? Huh. I'm sure I can find a list. There's probably like on Wikipedia or something. There's going to be a list of, all the dignitaries who attended. Oh, it's Chile. Okay, thank you, Chile. All right, appreciate that. Sorry, I'm not as good. Like Middle Eastern flags, terrorist flags, I'm good with, but the other flags of other countries, not as much. So I appreciate that. All right, Chile, Liberia. Yeah, there's a bunch of Soviet era flags too, because this was 71. Okay, what's this one? Is that Australia? Okay, Australia. So I was right. I was right. I did see Australia there. And then, here's more like Iranian women who are in the army who are carrying holding the flags. How cool is that? So cool. Flag quiz, I would mean.
The fountains.
So that was the military parade. I definitely enjoyed that. So that was like one of the highlights of the 25-year anniversary. How cool is that? I kind of wish we could do that every year. I mean, it's just such a huge draw, right? Think of like the Macy's Thanksgiving parade, right? Like how much tourism does the Macy's Thanksgiving parade draw? And it's, just a parade for, fun and stuff like that. Imagine if you could go to Persepolis, right? The ancient city of the Persian Empire. You could go to Persepolis and then you could, literally see a parade showcasing the history of the Persian Empire, starting with the military of Cyrus the Great and working all the way to modern times. Like that's fantastic. Like that would be a huge tourist attraction and highlight. And seeing something like this and seeing the foresight and the thought and the investment that the Shah made into something like that to promote Iran, to advance Iran, to bring multiculturalism, to bring tourism to Iran. And again, someone said in the chat, right? Like that was actually a net benefit of $175 million. So every single cent that the Shah invested in Iran, by the way, this was good for the economy. It created jobs. It highlighted local craftsmen. Like, think of all the people that were employed to sew all of those outfits, right? Think of all the people employed to work there. This is such a huge investment for the economy itself, right? And of course, a huge investment for Iran. And that is what spurred tourism. After that, people wanted to come to Iran. They wanted to see that. So it's such a shame. It's such a shame that the Islamists, right, and the communists lied. about this celebration, because again, they still push that narrative. They say the Shah was corrupt. He held a party in the desert, but they never tell you what it was, who did it, what it was for, nothing like that, right? The way that they frame it, right? Again, this goes into the Islamist taqiyya narrative. So keep in mind, you can never trust anything they say. They never say that this was a national celebration to honor the 2,500-year anniversary. 2,500 years of the Persian Empire is what was actually going on. But the Islamists make it seem like this was some private party in the desert and the Shah just randomly spent money on like whatever, which is complete and utter nonsense. Unfortunately, the reason that they were able to share the mullahs, right, the ayatollahs and the Islamists and the communists, the reason they were able to share this lie and promote this lie and spread this lie is because back in the 70s, there was no access to information the way we have it today, right? So people were not able to go and independently fact check and verify whether or not the ayatollahs were lying. And people, you know, they believed the mullahs. They were like, this is a man of God. He must be speaking the truth, not knowing that they're a bunch of like corrupt inbred savages, right? Who were hell bent on power. So that military parade you saw, that's the desert in the party, or sorry, party in the desert that the Islamists and communists used to attack the Shah. So now you know where it comes from, right? And for all of you who are in the chat, and all of those who are watching, the next time some ignorant person says, the Shah was corrupt, he had a party in the desert, now you know exactly what it was, and you can fight back. You can counter it, and you can say, have you actually gone to check into it? Or are you just, you know, a low IQ person who's propagating nonsense and lies? Are you an Islamist who's spreading taqiyya? Like, what is your motivation behind this? And I'm telling you guys, the internet is free. You can fact check everything these people say, and it's all a lie, right? But unfortunately, back in the 70s, people did not have access to information the way that we have access to information today, right? People didn't have internet, they didn't have cell phones, right? Even like libraries were not as you know, information was not as easily accessible. So when an ayatollah, when like an Islamic cleric told you something, you would believe them because, man, you know, he's a man of God or whatever. But now you know the truth. Now you know the truth about what it was. And in fact, I said this before, I'll say it again. I don't think the Shah spent nearly as much. I wish he would have spent even more, right? And anyone who complains about how much he spent, I say, good, I'm glad. I'm glad the Shah spent money. I just wish he had spent more. I wish he did this every year because that would be a huge tourist attraction. Guys, let me tell you something. And again, I was a politician for 7 years. I was in politics for 10 years. Every single government has a budget to promote heritage and tourism. And, you know, guys, I love Canada. I really do. Proud Canadian. But let me tell you, some of the things that the government spends money on is ridiculous. And that's because Canada is such a new country that, you know, I guess it's not really as interesting to people. I don't know. But let me tell you something. The Liberal government of Ontario, about 10 years ago, when the Liberals were still in power, in order to attract tourism to Toronto, they spent $100,000 on a giant rubber duck. Okay? So they spent $100,000 to rent a giant rubber duck to bring it to Toronto so that people would come and take selfies with it. Why? Because that attracts business investment. Tourism attracts investment. Tourism is good for the economy. Governments will spend money on tourism because it is not a waste of dollars. It is an investment in your economy. That's exactly what the party in the desert was. It was an investment. And I mean, you can't even compare. And if you guys think I'm joking about the rubber duck, I'm not. Let me pull it up. Like, I'll show you guys. It's here. Let me pull this up. Right, where's the image? No, I don't want that. What's this? Okay. No, I don't want the actual news source. I just want the image. Wait, let me just open up the image because we don't really care about the actual news source here. All right, now I have to share this. So let me come here. Share screen. Share. Okay. Move. Okay, you see this, guys? Do you see this? The Liberal government, the provincial government in Ontario, spent $100,000 on a giant rubber duck. Why? Because it would attract tourists to Toronto, and people were literally coming to Toronto to take selfies with the giant duck. And then, of course, you know, then they'll spend money in businesses, and they'll go shopping, and they maybe stay at a hotel. Like, stuff like this is good for the economy. And this is this is stupid. I think this is actually super ridiculous and stupid. But ultimately, it's a good investment because it gives back to the economy, right? And if Canada, if Ontario can do something as ridiculous as like a giant rubber duck for $100,000, right? And that's considered legitimate. And yet,
inspired the poets for.
And yet the communists and Islamists are complaining about the fact that the Shah of Iran at the time invested money into Iran, not for some random thing with no connection to Iran, right? Like what connection does a rubber duck have to Canada or Toronto? Nothing. It's just like a, you know, random interesting attraction there. But the Shah instead invested in Iranian identity, in Iranian heritage, in Iranian culture, right? Real tangible things worth every penny. The investment he made in that desert party that the Islamists call it was 100% the correct thing to do. I am glad he did it. Like I said, I wish he invested even more. But thank God that he had the foresight not only to do that, but to have people record it so that future generations of Iranians, myself included, are able to appreciate and enjoy that. Like, what he did was a gift to our civilization. The celebration he put on was a gift to the Iranian nation because it gave us one more thing that we can not only be proud of, but one more thing we can reference to bring that connection between us and the founders of the Persian Empire, right? He made that link easy for us to do as Iranians. That 2,500-year-old link, he brought it to life. Worth every penny. And that's why the Islamists didn't like him. Because again, guys, remember what I said at the beginning? The Ayatollahs, they don't like nationalism. They don't like patriotism. Do you guys remember that? Let me bring it up again. So now that you saw that amazing celebration of Iranian heritage, right? Let's go back and bring up the evil man again. This is the founder of the Islamic Republic, a demonic evil guy. So this is the guy, by the way, this is the guy who spread the lie about the Shah was corrupt and he had a party in the desert, right? It's this demonic evil criminal right here. And listen to what he says, because he has an agenda. The Islamists have an agenda. It's not by accident that they attack the Shah. The Shah was very nationalistic. The Shah loved Iran. He loved Iranian people. He was a proud Iranian patriot, okay? And if you notice what he's about to say, okay, it's going to resonate with those of you who might be in the UK or Canada or United States or elsewhere, and you're being told that if you are patriotic, you're racist. Does that ring a bell? Does that ring a bell? You're being told that if you're patriotic, that if you wave the flag of your country, you're racist. It's not by accident, guys. That anti-nationalistic perspective is part and parcel of the Islamist ideology. It's part and parcel of the communist ideology. That's exactly what happened to Iran. They went after the nationals. They went after our patriotism. Listen to what he says right now. I could play this video 1,000 times and it's still not enough. Every single person in the world needs to watch this video because this will explain to you how the Islamic terrorists colonize and conquer and erase national identities.
اسلام آمده است که این حرفای نامربوط را از بین ببرد.
So he says Islam has come to get rid of this useless talk.
افراد
And then he says patriots are useless to us, right? So he's saying we don't want patriots. Patriotism is the enemy of Islam. We want Muslims. He says it. He says it.
ملی به درد ما نمیخورند. افراد مسلم به درد ما میخورند. اسلام با ملیت مخالف است. معنی ملیت این است که ما ملت را میخوایم، ملیت را میخوایم و اسلام را نمیخوایم.
Do you see that? Did you see that, guys? These are not my words. These are his words. These are the words of the people who took Iran hostage in 1979 and turned our country into a 7th century Islamic hellhole governed by Sharia law. He is the one who is saying that patriots are the enemy of Islam. They don't want patriots. Why don't they want patriots? Because patriots put their country first. If you put your country first, you are an enemy of Islam. He's saying it, not me. These are not my words. These are his words. He is telling you exactly how they think. So now you have to ask yourself, why are all these people immigrating to your countries? They're waving their own flags. They're waving their own flags. They're burning yours. And yet when you want to raise your flag of your own country, or if you want to speak out and say, you're in our country, respect us, all of a sudden you're the racist, you're the far left, you're the xenophobe. Guys, there's an agenda here. That's exactly what they did to Iran 50 years ago. That's what they did to our country in 1979. This is the real flag of Iran. They took this away from us. They replaced it with this disgusting crab flag that says Allahu Akbar on it. I'm Iranian. I speak Persian. I don't speak Arabic. Why the hell does the flag have Arabic on it? You know why? Because it's Islamic colonization. Because they want to erase identity. They want to erase heritage. They want to erase patriotism. Patriotism is the enemy of Islam because if you put your country first, then that is a barrier to their global jihadi agenda. That's a barrier to Islamic colonization, right? He's basically talking about open borders, guys. Like all these like far left crazies and communists who talk about open borders and whatever. What do you think open borders leads to? It leads to Islamic colonization and colonialism. He says patriots are useless to us. Patriots are useless. Anyone who puts their country before Islam is an enemy of Islam. That's what he's saying. And then these people are mass imported into your countries and they're burning your flags. And as an Iranian, and there's so many Iranians here, Reza, thank you so much for the sticker and for the support. So Reza, I'm assuming, agrees with what I'm saying. Guys, take it from us Iranians. We are warning you. We are warning you. The red flags are going off like the alarm bells, right? Like you guys are in a critical place right now because you are at the point where the Islamists have come to your countries and they wave their own flags, right? They wave the fake flag of Palestine or whatever, wherever it is. I don't even know. By the way, the flag is just as fake as the country because the flag was invented by a British guy, but there you go. But they wave the flag of Palestine. They wave their terrorist jihadi flags. And yet when you want to wave the flag of your own country, you are the racist, you are intolerant. Do you see how they are using your freedoms against you to infiltrate? Listen, watch this video again. I know he's speaking in Farsi, but you can read the captions. Read the captions. These are not my words. These are the words of the Islamic terrorists who want to conquer you the way they conquered Iran. And many of you are asking, well, how did they take over? It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen overnight. It took about 15 years to hit that critical point. And in those 15 years, maybe if people had taken the threat more seriously, maybe if Iranians, maybe if the Shah had taken the threat more seriously, we wouldn't be in this situation that we are today. But unfortunately, here we are. And 47 years later, we are still paying the price for our mistake in blood. Iranians are being murdered every day, those who speak out. But that wasn't enough for them. It wasn't enough for them to take over Iran. It wasn't enough for them to take our flag away from us and replace it with their Allahu Akbar Arabic flag, the flag of the Islamic colonizers. That wasn't enough for them. Now they are coming into your countries. And I see a starred message here. Thank you. Thank you, TNY. I appreciate that. Oh, Atlantic Canada. Love you guys. You know what? I should probably get a Canadian flag. I need to find a Canadian flag because I love Canada too. And part of the reason I speak out is I'm trying, guys, Canadians, wake up. You are way too polite. I'm warning you. I'm warning you guys. We've already seen the images of them, like all the pro-Hamas people, pro-Palestine people, right? The army of the red and the black. You have the communists and the Islamists. Not only do they wave the fake flag of Palestine, but they're also burning the Canadian flag. We saw, I'm sure you saw that, where a whole bunch of them went to Parliament and they burned the Canadian flag. And then when you call it out, they say, oh, freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. But that freedom of expression is how they bring their ideology in. Because the freedom of expression, they take advantage of the freedoms that are given to people in Western countries to promote and advance their jihadi agenda. Listen to this again, guys. Not my words. This is the words of the founder of the Islamic Republic. By the way, the Islamic Republic is the big brother of Hamas, the Houthis, Hezbollah, all of the Islamic terrorists traced back to the Islamic Republic, which took my country hostage in 1979. Listen to what he says, guys. Very important. And if anyone wants the link, I will put the link to this video in the live stream description after I'm done the live stream. You know what? I'll put it in the chat right now as well. Actually, there you go. I'll put it in the chat as well. But I think this is. Oh no, wait, that's not the link. That wasn't the link. Here, let me find the link before I forget. Okay, this is the link. I'm putting it in the live chat here, you guys. Okay, so save this video. Save this video and show it to everyone, because this is not coming from me. These are coming from the people who colonized Iran, who turned Iran into a 7th century Islamic hellhole. And there is an agenda behind these people coming to your countries and burning your flags. There is an agenda behind them making you feel like you're racist for wanting to put your country first, right? Why is it that anyone who wants to be a nationalist is being demonized? Why? Because nationalism is the enemy of Islam. They say it, not me. Nationalism is the barrier to them being able to come in and take over your societies and destabilize.
اسلام آمده است که این حرفای نامربوط را از بین ببرد. افراد ملی به درد ما نمیخورند، افراد مسلم به درد ما میخورند. اسلام با ملیت مخالف است. معنی ملیت این است که ما ملت را میخوایم، ملیت را میخوایم و اسلام را نمیخوایم.
And so this next part is where he talks about the Shah of Iran, right? The Shah of Iran was a Muslim, but he was a normal, regular Muslim, okay? Like he he was a patriotic man too. Like he loved Iran, and he always said, "I'm Iranian first. Iran first, the nation for second, and then I'm a Muslim third, right?" So he said, "I'm Iranian first, and then I'm Muslim." That was not good enough. Even though the Shah was Muslim, that was not good enough for this guy, because this guy, right? It's not about like Muslims. It's about Islamic colonization and jihad, right? So being a Muslim is not good enough unless you are part of the global caliphate, Sharia, whatever. Listen to this part.
اومدی که در خارج گفت که
So when he says, I'm not going to say the I word because that's disrespectful, and I'm not a savage Islamist, but when he's referring to the Shah abroad. So this is right after the Shah left Iran in 1979, and then this evil demonic man Khomeini went to Iran, right? And then he founded these. So this is like within a week or two of him going back to Iran. So this is what he says about the Shah, who was a Muslim, and this is what the Islamists think of all the moderate Muslims out there.
که اول من ایرانی هستم، ملی هستم، دوم ایرانی هستم، سوم اسلام. این اسلام نی.
See? Did you see that? So he's saying that the Shah of Iran said, "I'm Iranian first, I'm a patriot second, and I'm a Muslim third." That was not good enough for this guy. That is not good enough for the Islamic Republic. Okay? So guys, you have to wake up here to what is happening. Right? So he's basically saying that if you put your country first, that's not Islam. He says it. This isn't Islam. He's saying it. So what happened to Iran, guys? It is starting to happen in your countries, and if you don't wake up, by the time the next, within one generation, maybe even less, within like a decade, you might even be outnumbered. And if you're outnumbered, like, good luck, guys. Good luck. You guys need to wake up to what's going on here, because these people are not coming to your countries to assimilate. They're coming to your countries to invade. That's why they're burning your flags. That's why they're making you feel racist for wanting to put your country first. All right. There's my little rant on, all the Islamists who say party in the desert. No, it was not a party in the desert. It was celebrating
thinkers.
It was celebrating Iranian heritage. It was celebrating 2,500 years worth of Iranian heritage. And I'm so glad the Shah did that. So glad he did that. And thank you to him. I love him. And today is his birthday. So Mohammad Reza Shah Pahlavi Mubarak. Saad Ruzet Shad Bash Bash. Saad Ruzet Khojaste Bad. And yeah, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Great man. I would dare say, it's hard to say if he's a second or third, because Cyrus is up there for sure. Cyrus is number one, Cyrus the Great, and then between him and his father Reza Shah the Great, difficult to say, because they were both amazing kings, right? Both of them huge historical value to the country.
This old land, centuries ago, whisper their watery music. As the flags drift in the evening breeze, after the formalities of the state reception, the Shah and his Empress invite his guests to a traditional Persian party.
Love this. I love this.
The way it works is that he doesn't sit down himself. Moving among his guests, he makes them all happy. The music and the food are traditional.
Look at this Persian culture. I love this.
It wouldn't have been complete without the dancing girls.
I love this. Like this is such a beautiful thing. Like, you know, showcasing Iranian heritage, culture, art, dance, right? These are things that we're proud of as part of our Iranian identity. And yet the Islamic Republic took all of this away from us, right? This is haram. This is haram in Islam. This is haram in Islam.
It could have been the first occasion in most of the VIPs' lives that so many of them, who are normally whisked about in plush limousines, have crowded into coaches. But what coaches? They were carrying them from the pavilions at Persepolis to the airport at Shiraz, then by air to Tehran, the modern capital of Persia. Just in case they were still hungry, confections were served on the way.
Looks so good. Look how like clean and modern. Look at this. Look at this. Guys, do you see this? These are all the Iranian people, okay? Like, do you see like everyone looks well dressed, well put together, modern, right? Wearing modern clothes, like no one's in hijab, right? Like Iran was never a Muslim country, right? Iran was not an Islamic society. Yes, there were Muslims within the country, but there were also Iranians who were Zoroastrian, Iranians who were Christian, Baha'i, Jewish, atheist, Buddhist, like whatever, anything you can think of, right? Iran was never an Islamic country. Yes, there were Muslims within the country, but it was not governed by Sharia law. It was only when the Islamic Republic came to power that they imposed Sharia law and made Iran, forced Iranians to be a Muslim on pain of death, right? Like that's how Islamic conquest works. And so all those people who say, "Oh, Iranians are Muslim," we were never Islamic. Okay, people kept their religion to themselves, and you can see that the Shah was a Muslim, and yet the country was secular because there was a separation of mosque and state. Yeah, look at all these people. Like this could be like, I don't know, America. This could be a scene out of like New York. Look at how the like look at how the I guess I don't know if they're waitresses, but like the the serving staff. Look at how they're
Just in
dressed.
case they were still...
Like these are Iranian women, right? Like these aren't foreigners. This is how Iranian women dressed and looked before Islam took over in 1979.
hungry, confections were served on the way.
Like this could be a scene, this could be happening in like the United States. You literally can't tell the difference looking at these people and the way they're dressed. Love her. She just turned 87. And the Shah was beloved. Like people loved her. Look at all these Iranians. You see? Do you see the servers here? Look at how they're dressed. These are Iranian women, right?
In the aircraft, the Shah had brief moments in which he was on his own, with time to look at what they were saying about the celebrations in the newspapers. From a headquarters in Persepolis, the press was tapping and typing comments to the world.
It's mind-blowing to me. Like, people say the Shah was a dictator, and all that, like, jihadi Islamist nonsense, right? It's all taqiyya. Look at the freedom of press. Look at all of these reporters. Even the guy who like filmed this documentary or narrated it or whatever. All of these reporters from different parts of the world are in Iran, and they're typing stories about their experience and what they saw and all of that. There is no freedom of press in occupied Iran right now. First of all, every single media outlet is controlled by the Islamic Republic, and only like jihadi Islamist propaganda comes out there, so we can't even trust it. Not only that, media outlets are not allowed to go to Iran, to occupied Iran, unless they have permission from the Islamic Republic. That's why you never see like independent reports from CNN or CNN's garbage anyway, but like you never see Western media there. The only types of journalists you see in occupied Iran are those who are mouthpieces for the Islamic Republic. But so it's wild. It's wild that these Islamists and communists will claim that the Shah was a dictator. Meanwhile, literal freedom of press before 1979, and yet when the communists and Islamists took over, they turned Iran into an Islamic dictatorship governed by Sharia law. But and it's not me saying this, it's this documentary video from 1971 that's literally showing you all the various journalists from around the world who were in Iran to document what was happening there.
For most of them, it was a surprise to discover how the new Persia was evolving.
So he's going to talk a little bit now about how Iran is modernizing. Jane, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. I hope you're enjoying this. Guys, if you are enjoying this kind of live stream, let me know, because maybe what I'll do, like I have my daily live stream Monday to Friday at noon, where I talk about like political issues and all the updates with the Middle East and terrorism and things like that. This is a little different. This is more of like a watch party. If you guys are interested, let me know, and maybe I'll do more of these. Like if you want more streams where I just share videos of what Iran used to be like prior to 1979, I'm happy to do watch parties and then kind of like walk you through it and guide you. Maybe like there's there's so many old movies as well. I might be able to even find some like old movies prior to when the Islamic Republic took over. I wonder if they have like English subtitles though. I don't know if they do, but I mean I can even like play like old movies for you guys so you can see what Iran used to be like, right? Like the Islamists want you to think that Iran was always Islamic, and no, it never was. Iran was incredibly modern. So yeah, let me know in the chat if you guys appreciate this, and I'll do some more lighthearted streams like this.
Only remembered the old, when Persia had slept. The organization of the Great Parade was in itself an eye-opener. The celebrations were the signal that the flame of Persia was burning again. Great nations come and go. A century ago, Persia had been of no importance except to historians, romanticists, and students of archaeology.
Okay, this part is super important, guys. Sorry, I paused. Like, pay attention here, because he's saying a century ago, so during the Qajar era, the previous dynasty, Iran was nothing. It was not modernized. It was not developed. It was gosh, it was a terrible. It was pretty much like a tribalistic, undeveloped kind of society. And that was the previous Qajar dynasty, which was very ineffective. They were basically puppets for, between the Soviets and the UK, the Soviets and the British at the time. And they just wasted all the money on themselves. They were very, very corrupt. So he's about to tell you, okay, so I don't remember this part, so I'm just kind of guesstimating, so I could be wrong. But he's about to tell you that, in the last century, Iran was basically undeveloped, and it was only with the Pahlavi dynasty that came in, I believe it was in 1925. So in 1925, when the monarchy changed and Reza Shah the Great was brought in. Reza Shah is the founder of the Shahanshah Aryamir, the father. When he came in, he began a very aggressive approach towards modernizing and industrializing Iran. Aggressive in a good way, okay? I don't mean like aggressive in a bad way. I just mean like he was a military man. He was go 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 go, and he was all about like infrastructure. So he built railroads and bridges and hospitals and like everything you can think of. And then that industrialization of Iran and modernization was continued with his son, the Shah of Iran at the time here, you see. So I think he's going to get into that. So pay attention to this part, because again, this isn't coming from me. This is coming from other people who made this documentary back in the 70s.
Theology. Look at it now.
Go back a little bit.
Right. It could have been the first occasion in most of the VIPs' lives that so many of them, who are normally whisked about in plush limousines, have crowded into coaches. But what coaches?
Right. I went a little too far. Sorry. Okay, here we go.
The newspapers. From a headquarters in Persepolis, the press was tapping and typing comments to the world. For most of them, it was a surprise to discover how the new Persia was evolving. They only remembered the old, when Persia had slept. The organization of the Great Parade was in itself an eye-opener. The celebration...
Did you hear that? So the Great Parade, right? The parade that we just watched, okay, that was in front of Persepolis. He just said that was an eye-opener, right? So when the Shah of Iran held that 2,500-year celebration of, the Persian Empire, and he invited 60 people, heads of state and royalty to attend, it was an eye-opener for them, because when they came to Iran, they thought that it was like some underdeveloped backcountry, whatever, right? Like they probably assumed people were living in tents or whatever. And then instead, when they came to Iran in 1971, and again, like in 1971, cities like Dubai and, all these other places, they didn't really exist, right? Like many of those places were not even nowhere near what they are today. They've obviously now surpassed Iran since the Islamic Republic took over, because the Islamic Republic is a dictatorship. They don't care about economic growth. They're just like a parasite on Iran. But back in 1971, they thought that Iran was like those countries. And yet when they got there, it was an eye-opener for them, because they realized how modern Iran was, how much it had industrialized under the Pahlavi dynasty. And the Shah basically used that opportunity of the 25-year anniversary to not just promote tourism, but to then work on economic investment, right? Because now the other countries realized, oh my gosh, this is not what we thought. Iran is way more modern. In fact, Iran at the time in 1971 was way more modern than several of those countries. And then, of course, is the Islamic Republic came in 1979 and overnight turned our country into an Islamic hellhole and got rid of like all the work the Pahlavi dynasty had done.
With a signal that the flame of Persia was burning again.
The flame of Persia
Great
burning
nations
again.
come and go. A century ago, Persia had been of no importance except to historians, romanticists, and students of archaeology. Look at her now. She is making her challenge to join the new world. Her greatest enemy is illiteracy. She has started to beat it by building 4,000 new schools in a year. Schools for adults.
Does a dictator do that, guys? Does a dictator, someone who's corrupt, does he build at least 4,000 schools a year to combat illiteracy? Does a dictator mandate that girls must complete their education? The only dictator, the only like aspect of a dictator that I see in the Shah is that he wanted women to have equal rights, and that pissed off the Islamists, because the Islamists, as you know, think women are second-class citizens, they shouldn't be educated, and they should be married off at the age of 9 and 10. So the Shah was a dictator towards the Islamists because he didn't allow them to promote their Islamist narrative, and he did not allow them to brainwash Iranian people into thinking that women shouldn't be educated, right? The Shah was not a dictator. The Shah was a visionary. And you're not getting this from me. You're getting this from this guy who's narrating this back in 1970. This is the truth, guys, because here, this was still the unfiltered truth before the Islamic Republic took over and then started spouting their lies. So again, which dictator builds 4,000 schools a year minimum to educate its population?
They only remembered the old, when Persia had slept. The organization of the Great Parade was in itself an eye-opener. The celebrations were the signal that the flame of Persia was burning again. Great nations come and go. A century ago, Persia had been of no importance except to historians, romanticists, and students of archaeology. Look at her now. She is making her challenge to join the new world. Her greatest enemy is illiteracy. She has started to beat it by building 4,000 new schools in a year. Schools for adults as well as children.
Look at that. Not just schools for children. He was building schools for adults so that adults could also be educated. Guys, 4,000 schools a year is insane. Again, I was in government. I was in government for 7 years as an elected member. Okay, 10 years in total. I was in politics. My biggest accomplishment, like my biggest goal as a politician, was to build schools in my riding. Okay, and I said to myself, if I can, get at least funding to build one school a year, I'll be happy. The Ontario government, okay, it's like, I'm trying to think of like how many new schools are announced a year. It's like maybe 200, and 200 is upper. So think about that. The Ontario government right now, Canada is a modern, first world country, developed, whatever. The Ontario government can barely budget building 200 new schools a year, not counting all the renovations or whatever that needs to be done for the pre-existing schools. Okay, so in 2025, the Ontario government in Canada can barely afford to build 200 schools a year. In 1971, in Iran, the Shah of Iran was building a minimum of 4,000 schools a year. And not just for children, but for adults. Like, it's insane, guys. I'm telling you, like, this is like, Unheard of, unheard of. Governments don't do that, but the Shah was doing that. He was working hard towards educating the people. He wanted to beat literacy. If you remember in the parade that we were watching, there was a specific branch of the army that he called the peace army. Remember, men and women who were employed by the army to go out and combat illiteracy, to combat famine, to combat poverty. So all these schools he was building, this was all the work of the peace army, right? The peace army that he had that you saw walking through the parade. And yet the Islamists and the communists call him a dictator. Do you see the lies? Do you see the taqiyya? But this video is the truth. This video is what they don't want you to see, what they don't want you to know about.
Her other enemy is her scarcity of water. By building great dams, Persia's water too is being brought under control.
So he was combating illiteracy by building at least 4,000 schools a year. He was building dams, right? He was building dams to combat lack of water, and the problem had been resolved. You know, one of the biggest problems right now in occupied Iran is lack of water. The Islamic Republic has mismanaged the infrastructure that the Shah built, by the way, because the Islamic Republic hasn't built anything. They're corrupt, they're uneducated, they're completely incompetent. All they do is they steal Iranian people's money, they fund terrorism, and then they murder any Iranians who speak out. That's what the Islamic Republic is known for. They have mismanaged the infrastructure that the Shah built 50, 60 years ago so bad that Iranians now don't have access to clean water. I don't know if you guys know this, but there has been a water shortage in Iran for a year now.
She is moving fast into heavy industry. The country has to do a lot yet to catch up industrially with the Western world. But one of the wonders of her is that this old sleeping beauty is now awake. So much.
And keep in mind, this is from 1971. The strides, right? The strides that the Shah took from 1971 to 1979 in those 8 years, exponential growth, right? Exponential growth.
Much is happening so quickly. Her modern spirit was first aroused during the reign of the present Shah's father. During the celebrations of the 2500th anniversary, his son remembered him. In Tehran,
Guys, just a quick tidbit for you guys. If you don't know, we actually, we have a specific name for the Pahlavi dynasty, right? For the, Shahanshah Aryamir and then his father, Reza Shah the Great, and of course the current Shah in exile, Reza Shah II. We have a specific name for them. I'll say it in Persian and then I'll translate it. So in Persian, we say Khandane Iran Saz Pahlavi, which means the Iran building Pahlavi dynasty. Why? Because the Pahlavi dynasty is known for modernizing Iran and taking Iran from the backwards country it was to a modern, developing country. And if the Islamic Republic had not taken over, Iran today would have been the Japan or the Singapore of the Middle East. That was the trajectory that Iran was on until the Islamic Republic came in and everything went to hell. And then Sharia law came in, right?
the cavalcade of cars swept towards the mausoleum of Reza Shah the Great. His son wished to do honor to the memory of his father. The ceremony was solemn and short. Most of us would wish to pay our own respects to our own fathers. His own had founded a new dynasty in Persia. The Persian people already call him Reza the Great. After that, the climax of the celebrations. The first glimpse of the floodlit monument outside the airport of Tehran in honor of the present Shah.
So I think, wasn't Burj Shahid built that year? Wait, let me see if I can find it. Was it built in 1971? Where was it built? Let's see. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So I was right. So so this tower that you're about to see is an iconic part of Iran. So it's called the Shahyad Tower. That's the real name of it. When the Islamists took over, when the Islamic regime took over, they changed its name to like Freedom Tower, which is actually very, very hypocritical because Iran is currently under occupation by a brutal Islamic dictatorship. But that's what the Islamists do. The Islamists and communists, right? They come in, they invade, they erase, and they change names, right? They change everything in order to erase your history because they want to take over. But yeah, so this Shahyad Tower was commissioned by the Shah, and it was inaugurated in 1971 during the 2500-year anniversary of the founding of the Persian Empire. So it's so cool that we're seeing all of this, and it's so cool that, you know, he had the foresight to plan all of this and just have it all line up perfectly.
Below the monument is a museum of Persian art.
Look at that. So this is the inauguration of Shahyad Tower. Wow.
To open it? Well, what would you expect?
You see, like this is what the Islamists complained about. They complained about joy. They complained about celebration. They complain about everything good, right? I mean, fireworks are so wonderful, so beautiful, and you know, every celebration has them. Canada Day fireworks, 4th of July fireworks, New Year's fireworks. But yet somehow when the Shah of Iran had fireworks, that's a problem. The Islamists said he's corrupt. Do you see how they operate? Do you see the lies that they have been propagating for the last 50 years? Because unfortunately, the Islamists and the communists have been in power. They have control of all the funding. They have billions of dollars at their disposal to promote propaganda. What do I have? I have my laptop and I have my live stream and I have my flag. That's it. I don't have any funders. I'm not getting paid to do this. I mean, your financial support helps me 100%. Like, your financial support makes it easier for me to do more live streams, but I'm combating billions of dollars of Islamic propaganda, Islamic and communist propaganda that has been going on for 47 years, right? And that's why people like me, we have to be much better than them, and we have to come with the receipts. And that's why everything I talk about, I always have proof. I always have like video or audio or an image or something, right? Because unfortunately, most non-Iranians have been so indoctrinated by the lies and the propaganda that the Islamists have told you about Iran, about Iranians, about who our Shah was, about life, you know, life in Iran, that like, and they do it on purpose. They want the world to think that Iranians are a bunch of like backwards, jihadi, inbred savages who just yell death to America all day, every day. It was never like that. It was never like that. It was when the Islamic Republic came to power in 1979 that all this jihadi Islamic terrorism nonsense happened. And Iran was the first victim. We Iranians were the first victims of the Islamic regime and of this Islamic colonization. And now they've expanded, and now they're coming into your countries. And I'm glad you are here watching this, because this is the party in the desert that the Islamists complain about. And if we didn't have the footage to show you the truth, you would still be believing them. And yet, despite everything I'm showing you, there are still people who are in the chat or who are going to watch this after or who just pop up randomly and without looking into the history of Iran, without knowing anything about the country, they'll just parrot the same line. The Shah was a dictator, and he was corrupting the party in the desert, right? It's the same propaganda over and over again, right? It's similar to how they constantly say, oh, there's a genocide in Palestine or Gaza or wherever, right? Like it's not true, but you repeat it often enough and people start to believe it without even going to study to understand what the definition of genocide is, right? Civilian casualties is not the same thing as genocide. I mean, war sucks. War sucks. I don't want to see anyone die. But Hamas started a war. There's going to be casualties. It's unfortunate. Don't start wars. I don't know. It's not a genocide though. But it's the same thing with Iran, right? The same tactics that they're using to slander Israel and Jewish people. Those are the same tactics that they have been using to slander us Iranians and our Shah since forever. Since forever. And that's why we have to come with even more proof, more documentation, like this video here, so that I can at least, if I can convince, I mean, there's 3,000 people watching this right now. If I can convince half of you guys that everything you've been told about Iran is a lie, everything you've been told about our Shah is a lie, if I can convince half of you guys, I'm happy. It was worth it for me to spend my Sunday afternoon sharing these videos with you, sitting in front of a laptop. I could be doing anything else right now, but I'm here because I'm passionate about this. I'm passionate about freeing Iran. I'm also passionate about not allowing Canada to fall down that path. And I say Canada because I'm Canadian, but I want to educate people in other countries too. Learn from our mistake. Learn from what happened to us Iranians, because we have been stuck in this horrific nightmare for 47 years, and the horrors of what the Islamic Republic has done to us in the name of Allah and Islam. You wouldn't be able to sleep. You would not be able to sleep for like a year. Because just listening to what has happened to Iranians in and of itself is traumatizing. Like, we Iranians, we have so much internalized trauma. And I can tell you something, it's almost like we live double lives, right? On one hand, we're normal functioning citizens in, whichever country we are lucky enough to escape to. And then on the other hand, we have the Iranian side, which is like you turn on Iranian, you turn on news or check it out, and you're basically wondering who was executed today. Which innocent person did the Islamic Republic execute today? Which innocent girl was raped and tortured before she was executed today? Which school child was gassed? Did you know the Islamic Republic gasses school children to keep their parents from going out and protesting? That's the stuff of nightmares. That's what we deal with as Iranians. It's almost like it's become this common day occurrence thing. And that's why when October 7 happened and Hamas, went after and massacred innocent Israelis and Jews and all the horrific things they did to them, we Iranians, we believed Jews and Israelis right away, because those horrific tactics have been used against us for 47 years. That's how Islamists operate. They are the worst of the worst. They are not human beings. They are savage animals. And Hamas learns from the Islamic Republic, because Hamas is funded by the Islamic Republic. Anyways, let's go back to this, because this I want to get back on track here. But again, this is the celebration that the Islamists were complaining about. They are anti-joy, anti-life, anti-love. They are anti-humanity. They are the biggest threat to Western civilization. What happened to Iran could happen to your countries if you don't wake up. Like these are, so what you're seeing is like the night. This is nightlife in Tehran right now. Like the streets, like everything is clean, and there's like bright lights, and everyone is celebrating, right? Iran used to be a normal country. This is what a normal country looks like. This is what we're fighting for, guys. Iranians, we're literally fighting to take our country back so we can have a normal country again, so that we're not governed by ayatollahs. We're not governed by clerics. We don't want Sharia law. Iran was never a Muslim Islamic country. Yes, there were Muslims who lived there, but religion was a personal thing. Religion was never, controlling government. It was only in 1979, when the Islamic Republic came to power, that they imposed Sharia law on Iranians. And we've been fighting them ever since.
On the last day of the celebrations, there was a spectacular to mark the inauguration of a vast new sports stadium in Tehran designed to seat 100,000 people.
So this is a very, very famous sports stadium in Iran. Obviously, the Shah built it, and it's currently in a state of disrepair. And because the Islamic Republic, again, they're a bunch of, demonic, evil ayatollahs. They're uneducated, right? They don't have any sort of education in economics or government management, like nothing, right? Like literally a bunch of inbred savages who just are leeches off of society. Unfortunately, they're controlling government right now. They have mismanaged the economy so bad, okay, that not only is everyone poor, but like this stadium right now is crumbling. This stadium was the jewel of Tehran. It was the pride and joy. Like there were so many amazing sporting events that happened there. And it's the inauguration is in 1971. Like it's just amazing. Like this is so fantastic. But on top of that, the ayatollahs, the Islamic Republic, are so idiotic that they have mismanaged the economy so bad that the cost to repair, I think it's like the ground in the stadium needs to be repaired or replaced or something. The cost to repair that right now is more than the cost to build the stadium in 1971. That's how bad the economy is in occupied Iran right now. That is simple repair for the stadium that the Shah built, by the way. The repair for the stadium is more expensive than the stadium itself. There is nothing good. I'm going to say this and I'll go back to this. Not a single good, positive thing has come from the Islamic Republic. I challenge anyone to show me one thing that the Islamic Republic has done that helps the Iranian people or advances Iran in one way or another. There is literally nothing that anyone can point to, because the Islamic Republic has not contributed a single positive thing to the country. The Islamic Republic is a demonic parasite that has taken and taken and taken and murdered and stolen.
The Shah arrived, they seemed to be all there.
One more thing as well, before I forget. Again, like so much you guys don't know. Take a look at the people in the stadium. You're going to see men and women. When the Islamic Republic came to power in 1979, they banned women from soccer stadiums and sports stadiums. So as of 1979, women are not allowed to attend sporting matches because that's against Sharia law. And I would love for the Muslims in the comments to answer me why that is. Why can women not go to sporting stadiums? And by the way, if Iran was always a Muslim country and governed by Sharia law, then why is it that women prior to 1979 were treated equally, didn't have to wear hijab, and they could go to sports stadiums? But after 1979, they can't anymore. I would love for someone to explain to me why women are not allowed to attend sporting stadiums. These are the things that non-Iranians don't know. Like, there's so many little like aspects of day-to-day life that I don't even think about like commenting on, because it's just like it's common knowledge for us that in Iran, women are not allowed to attend sporting events, right? Whereas anyone in a Western country would be like, what the hell are you talking about, right? I mean, I've had the privilege of going to like hockey games and basketball games and baseball games, and I say it's a privilege because women in Iran don't have that right. They don't have the right. Why? Because it's haram. Like, this is the insanity of the Islamic Republic, guys. Oh, sorry, got a super chat here. Look, haters, oh, Mossad money, woo, we're in your. Thank you, guys. Okay, I guess that's there's proof that I'm funded by Mossad. I love me some Israeli shekels. Thank you so much for the support. I think your name is Yov. I can't read Hebrew yet. But thank you for the support. I'm Yisrael Chai. Look how beautiful this is. This is the opening of the stadium. So I don't know about you guys. Well, I mean, this is comment more for the Iranians who are watching, but this is making me nostalgic for an Iran that I never had the opportunity to experience, right? Like, this is what we're fighting for. We're fighting for a normal and free country. It's like the level of oppression and evil and destruction by the Islamic Republic. You guys have no idea. You guys have no idea. Like, just seeing this scene of the grand opening of and guys, I have been to hundreds of grand openings as a politician, right? I've been to grand openings for so many things: businesses, schools, hotels, stadiums, like parks, anything and everything you can think of. I've been to grand openings. As an elected official, I've been invited. Never gotten emotional because it's a grand opening. Great, cool. But this is making me very emotional right now. Like, I'm getting goosebumps just watching this because yeah, like this is what our country was, and the Islamists and communists took this away from us. Oh, guys! You see that? You see the lion and sun flag? See that? I love that. I love that. That's the Iran that I want, guys. That's the Iran that I want. Modern, secular, free, happy, joyful. That's the Iran that I want. That's what we're fighting for. I can't wait to see that flag back in Iran raising high.
Swinging heavy clubs is a traditional sport.
Oh, guys, okay, so this is a zurkhune. I'll find some videos for you guys for another time, but zurkhune, it's like an Iranian weightlifting. Okay, think of like Iranian weightlifting, and zurkhune is it's basically like a gym, I guess, like a traditional Iranian gym where men would go and they would lift certain weights to work out. It's actually really hard to do. Like, there's a video where they try to get like bodybuilders to do this, and the bodybuilders can't. I'll see if I can find some videos and show you. But yeah, like again, so the Zulkhune is something very traditional. It goes back like thousands of years, right? So 3,000 years or so, the Zulkhunes have been around. So it's you know, we even had like gyms 3,000 years ago. Maybe we invented the concept of gyms too. And okay, guys, again, do you see the women? See all the women? And notice how they're all dressed normally, right? Some with hijabs, some without. But you don't see any of those like black garbage bags all around. Like people are dressed normally. And everyone is free to dress however they want to dress. All right.
The strong men of Persia pride themselves on their muscular development.
So the music in the background is a very traditional, like very traditional song as well. Like we all know it. Yeah, do you see the women? Do you see the women dancing? 1971 Iran. Not only are women in the stadium, but they're dancing. These are things that are banned. These are things that are banned in Iran right now because the Islamic Republic says that this is against Islam, that this is haram. Sharia law does not allow this. So again, when you have these ignorant people, or even when you have the Islamists and they come and they say Iran was always a Muslim country and Iranians were a Muslim culture. No, it's a lie. They're lying to you. It was never, ever like that, right? Women were free to do whatever they wanted to do. The Islamic Republic has imposed Sharia law on us. They have kept the Iranian people hostage for 47 years. And I will definitely go into the whys and the hows of that happened, because I know a lot of you have asked me if Iranians were not Muslim, why did the Islamic Revolution happen? Why were they successful? There's a lot of factors to that, a lot of lying, a lot of trickery. There was also something that the current Shah of Iran said, Reza Shah II, the Shah in exile. He said this in his speech 2 days ago at the Cyrus the Great event that I attended. He said that sometimes the good guys don't win. No matter how hard you try, the good guys just don't win. And that's what happened in 1979. The good guys lost. The good guys lost. That's what happened. And it was a combination of factors. And I'll definitely get into all that. It's, incredibly complicated. There's a lot of misinformation out there as well. There's a lot of misinformation. It doesn't help that you have the Islamists and the communists, right, put out this propaganda that, the Shah was a dictator and people were oppressed. People, all that nonsense we have to deal with, on top of the fact that the Islamists and communists are now murdering us and oppressing us. Putting all that aside, right, they still have the audacity to claim that the Shah was a dictator. Meanwhile, they literally rape women before executing them to make sure the woman doesn't go to heaven, right? Because in Sharia law, If a woman is a virgin, she goes to heaven. So the Islamic Republic rapes Iranian women before executing them to make sure they don't go to heaven. And then they have the audacity to call the Shah of Iran a corrupt dictator. It's laughable. It's mind-blowing. But this is what we're dealing with. When the bad guys are in power, unfortunately, the bad guys have billions of dollars at their disposal, and they can spread their lies. They can spread their propaganda. They can spread their jihadi nonsense and ideology. But this here, what you're seeing in the video below from 1971, this is the real Iran that is currently hidden, right? The Islamic Republic has put like this oppressive shroud, this hijab on Iran. Because what you see right now, that's not Iran. This is the real Iran that you're seeing. Look at all these Iranian women here dancing. This is not allowed today. Iranian women are not even allowed to be inside of a stadium in Iran, let alone dancing and not wearing hijab. This could be any country, right? Like you could be watching something, in the United States or in Europe, or like I don't know, Japan or something, right? Like you can't tell that this is Iran because Iran was a normal Western secular country.
Notice that the soldiers are doing their arms drill without orders, to the music of the Viennese waltz. Towards the end of the celebrations, the Shah heard an address from the religious representatives of the world, a confirmation that religious tolerance should be extended to all men.
Wow. You know what? That sounds like exactly what a dictator would do, right? Like all dictators, right? Like they're all about religious tolerance. Like do you see how they have spread so much lies and propaganda about the Shah of Iran, but when you actually dive in and you look at history and you look at facts, you see that it was the complete opposite. That the Islamic dictatorship, that's the real dictatorship. They are the ones who are corrupt. They are the ones who are dictators. They are the ones who are murdering Iranians. Guys, I'm telling you right now, every single accusation that the communists and Islamists throw at the Shah and the Pahlavi dynasty, that accusation is an admission of guilt. It's what they are doing. Okay, that's how Islamists operate. It's taqiyya, it's jihad. The Shah was not a dictator. Look at what he's doing. He's literally saying that, he's supporting freedom of religion and saying everyone should be free to practice whatever religion they choose. And he literally has, guys, that's a First Nations person. Look at that. He even has a First Nations person there. Look at that. Like back in 1971, the Shah, I did not know this. Like I'm just noticing this for the first time. So back in 1971, the Shah of Iran invited a First Nations leader to Iran to be part of the, I guess, the ceremonies, and to also speak about the religious freedom of First Nations people. Who does that? Who did that back in 1971? The Canadian government is still fighting with First Nations here in Canada. And yet in 1971, right, almost 60 years ago, or over 50 years ago, in 1971, the Shah of Iran had a First Nations chief in Tehran to show respect for the religious beliefs of First Nations people. Does that look like a dictator to you? Unbelievable, the lies that they have spread about this man. Every single lie they have said about him, it's the exact opposite. And in fact, every single accusation is something that they have been accused of doing.
Not all countries accept it. In ancient tradition, Persia does.
Oh, let's go back here. Let's listen to that part because I interrupted. Great. So what he says about religion is really important because, again, Cyrus the Great, the founder of the Persian Empire, mandated religious freedom. So people who were living in the Persian Empire 3,000 years ago had freedom of religion. Freedom of religion is part of our Iranian identity. Freedom of religion is part of who we are. Sorry, Rod, I'm only saying First Nations because I don't know which tribe he's from. I don't know which country he's from. So I want to be respectful because I don't want to like say a certain tribe if he's not from that tribe. So, First Nations to kind of encompass that. If I knew which tribe or whatever, I would say, but I don't know.
Towards the end of the celebrations, the Shah heard an address from the religious representatives of the world, a confirmation that religious tolerance should be extended to all men. Not all countries accept it. In ancient tradition, Persia does.
Did you hear that? So in ancient tradition, Persia and Persians and Iran accepts religious tolerance because it's part of our ancient 1,000-year-old tradition.
As the VIPs said their goodbyes, they left behind them, each in their own language and over their own famous names, a message of goodwill. In our world, we might call them bread and butter letters. In Persia's world, they remember the words of their great poet and thinker, Sadi, who 700 years ago wrote, "If ambitious of a great name, make a practice of munificence, for the crop will not shoot till thou shalt sow the seed."
See how people are dressed? Yeah, 1971. Is that Japanese? Was that Japanese? I think that was Japanese. is, guys. So that is the I think that's the crown prince. That's the crown prince. So well, that's when he was young. He's of course the Shah in exile right now, but I believe that's him.
In Tehran, the new monument is likely to become as familiar as London's Big Ben, the Eiffel Tower of Paris, and New York's Statue of Liberty.
It has.
Symbole des grandes fêtes.
That's the Cyrus cylinder, guys. So this is where Cyrus, proclaimed human rights and freedom of religion.
De l'Iran, ce cylindre en argile cuite de Cyrus proclame que c'est ici que pour la première fois les droits de l'homme devinrent loi.
So this cylinder, again, this was a Cyrus cylinder. So he wrote this, Cyrus the Great wrote this 2,500 years ago, and proclaimed freedom of religion and human rights on this. So this is like sort of the first instance of human rights. And again, freedom of religion and tolerance and human rights was basically invented by the Persians as well. Wow. Well, guys, I was not expecting to be here almost 4 hours, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me on this stream. I just kind of did an impromptu stream because today is the birthday of Shahanshah Aryameh, Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the amazing king, Shah that you saw in this video. I hope that this gives you a little bit of glimpse into who he was as a person, why Iranians love him, love his father, love the Pahlavi dynasty, and also why the Islamists attack him, right? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. The Islamists despise him, and I want to share this here instead. I want to share this when I speak about him. Give me a moment. Here we go. It is his birthday today. He is the gentleman that you saw in the video. He is the amazing, incredible Shah that we had that commemorated the 2,500th anniversary of the Persian Empire. He is the one that continued his father's role and path to modernizing Iran, as you saw with the stadium, with the Shahia Tower. And he is the one that the Islamists vilify. He was building, you saw in the video said it, not me. He was building minimum 4,000 schools per year to combat illiteracy. Does a dictator do that? Instead, the Islamic Republic is shutting down schools and, in fact, encouraging Iranian girls to end their education sooner and go get married and have children. The Islamic Republic is literally encouraging child marriages. That's how sick and backwards those people are. And what happened to Iran in 1979 is the biggest downgrade, the single biggest downgrade in the history of human civilization. And I will have a lot to say on that. But today is his birthday. I wanted to watch that video. I figured I would stream it. I'm glad you guys joined me. It seems that there's a lot of interest in seeing these sorts of videos of, Iran before 1979. And what's really interesting is that I'm literally sharing history, and yet there are still people in the chat who are triggered and are calling it propaganda. It's wild to me, right? But like, I hope for you non-Iranians, I know Jewish people understand. So anyone who's Jewish understands exactly what we're going through because you guys deal with it too, right? Like the Islamists and the commies and the anti-Semites all come after you, right? I mean, you breathe and it's like genocide, right? Like at this point, like the very existence of a Jewish person, you'd be accused of genocide by existing. It's not insane, the attacks against you guys, but we get the same attacks from a different side of things. And as you can tell, for those of you watching on YouTube, looking at the live chat, I just shared a historical video, right? Like there was nothing political about it. I shared a historical video, and then I explained what Iran was like prior to 1979 versus what Iran is like now, as it is occupied by a brutal Islamic dictatorship that is murdering us every day. And yet that is still controversial for the trolls, right? So I think I might do more of these videos because this is what they don't want you to see. This is what they don't want you to know about. They want you to think that the Shah was a dictator because they had to, that was the lie that the Islamists and communists used to gain legitimacy. Their movement gained legitimacy from foreigners and, politicians and whatever, because they spread the lie that the Shah was a dictator. And unfortunately, foreigners and foreign governments bought it. And of course, Jimmy Carter, biggest idiot, may he burn in hell. We love Ronald Reagan. We love Ronald Reagan. Jimmy Carter and the Democrats, no. And we love Trump as well, of course. So, I mean, Republicans. Republicans are always great. Republicans have always been the enemy of Iran. Democrats have always been, sorry, not enemy, my apologies. Republicans have always been supportive of Iran and Iranian people. Democrats have been the enemy of Iran. Democrats have always sided with Islamists. It started with Jimmy Carter, carried to Obama, and then Biden. And I have another live stream, one of my future live streams. I have a lot to talk about, guys. I could talk for days and days and days on end about Iran. But I will be doing another live stream in the future at some point. I have to write this down so I don't forget. I will specifically talk about the connection between the American Democratic Party and the Islamic Republic. That's a big one, especially for you Americans. You guys need to know about this. Like, I have spoken about this a lot. No one really pays attention, but the Democrats have always been supportive of Islamic terrorism. And all I can say is, thank God that President Trump came to power, because if Kamala had gotten in, you guys were on a trajectory to become like the next Canada. Thank God President Trump is taking such a strong stance against radical Islam. I think more needs to be done. I mean, I'm not American, so I don't want to impose my thoughts, but I mean, I'm happy to talk about it at some point. And if you didn't catch my live stream from 3 days ago, so 2 live streams ago, I spoke about Matt Walsh versus Mehdi Hassan, Americans fighting back against invaders and radicals. Guys, go and watch that, especially if you're American, or I mean, not just American, but if you are a white person, let me put it this way: if you're like a white person in like a Western European country, and your country is being invaded by Islamists, you want to go and watch that live stream that I did 2 days ago, because I go through the tension between Matt and Mehdi. I also call out the Islamists. By the way, Mehdi Hassan is a big supporter of the Islamic Republic, right? Go figure. Like, all these Islamists are connected. All these Islamists are connected, guys. And they always attack us. They attack us because they view Iran as an ATM. They view Iran as a paycheck. And they don't want us to liberate our country because then they lose all their funding. Anyways, I really appreciate you guys joining. If you enjoyed my live stream, please, on YouTube, like, subscribe. If you want, you can join up and become a member. Members get a few additional perks. Members get a sneak peek of my daily live streams. Like, I post about it in the member area. Let me bring it up here. So where's my channel? So here, come here. So, if you're a member, you're going to see something like the membership tab. And guys, for the members, you'll see, where is it? So I posted yesterday. There you go. For those of you, okay, so for those of you who aren't members, here is a sneak peek. So I wrote yesterday, hi members, my Tuesday live stream. This is going to be a good one, guys. So I'm giving you a free preview of membership benefits. Tuesday live States and Trump's decision to attack the nuclear sites of the Islamic Republic this past summer. I'm going to break it down and give you the Iranian angle, because I'm pretty sure you guys are probably wondering, as an Iranian, my thoughts on when the United States bombed the Islamic Republic's nuclear facilities. And I will have a lot to say on that. And you might be surprised by what I'm going to say. You might be surprised, or maybe not. But anyways, thank you all for joining. If you appreciate it, like and subscribe. And yeah, my battery, my headphones are pretty much dying. I might come back later today and do another live stream. I don't know. My Sunday is pretty much open, and I'm feeling a little bit lazy, so I might be back in an hour or two. And I'll play some other videos of Shahanshah Aryamer. I'll do that because today is his birthday. Thank you guys for joining me as we celebrate the birthday of one of the most amazing people in the history of Iran, Shahanshah Aryamer. And as always, for everyone who's watching, thank you. And until next time, Payande Iran, Javid Shah.